What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? It is Conservative Brother Daily back with episode 29.
Hey.
29 of
It's Conspiracy
Uncomfy
Brother here.
Truths. We got Conspiracy Brother. How you doing, good sir?
Can't complain, really.
Hey, can't. Hey, if we were to complain, who would listen, right? We just gotta. Every news cycle, we just gotta shake our head, just keep moseying on, keep moving on. Good to have you here, man.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. Head forward. Head up, step forward. We also are joined. We got a special guest, a return guest, second time on the Uncomfy Truths podcast. Nun Dare Call It a Conspiracy. How you doing out there?
I'm doing fine. How's everybody doing?
We're doing what we can. It's great to have you back. You know, you definitely brought a lot of good light to. I think you were with us a few shows back, and I think right around the Trump conviction. You know, Trump conviction in May.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot has happened then. A lot has happened now, and to talk about it. Let's dive right into it. Once again, guys, also, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Conspiracy Brother, if you can kind of give me the reins. So let me know when you're ready. Okay. All right. So quick plug. Once again, you guys are watching Uncomfy Truths. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, Uncomfy Truths. We're currently streaming on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. So definitely give us a like, share, subscribe. Follow us on here. We're building up our channel. Our audience is a little bit bigger on Rumble at the moment, so we've been getting some momentum there. But definitely, if you're into more of the fringe stuff, we're on Odyssey. But then, of course, for more of the normie crowd, the start to just wake up off of what we've been telling y'all for a minute, we're on YouTube. So if you feel safe with YouTube and Rumble kind of freaks you out, come on over to YouTube. All right. So just wanted to do a quick plug there. And let's dive right in. The first topic I wanted to pose, and this is kind of like a topic / question. This is a question I want to pose to both of you guys. First, Nun Dare Call It Conspiracy, and then also Conspiracy Brother. I want to pose this question, or this idea of Black men not for Kamala Harris. Black men not for Kamala Harris. And what I mean by that is, like, I wanted to kind of throw around the idea, we could maybe just think tank real quick right now. If we could put together some sort of maybe a whole dedicated episode, kind of like a town hall symposium, if you will. It could be the three of us. We could invite some of our other friends of the show and really just do a full-on, like, Black men not for Kamala Harris or Black women. We can kind of combine. I want to put that there. Just based on everything going on and things we have warned and talked about. I know another mutual friend we have, Conspiracy Brother, kind of talked about it as well, but it's a little unsure about, people might call in line and troll and do all this other stuff. But I think that may be something we could consider, like maybe doing, like, we got episode 30 coming up next month. We could do like a special episode 30, Black men not for Kamala Harris, or Black people not for Kamala Harris. So I just want to kind of throw that idea out there. Just, we're going to beat up plenty of Kamala and Tim Walz in a minute. But I want to kind of just throw that out there and get both of your thoughts on maybe doing like a theme style town hall episode next month on Black men not for Kamala Harris. So Nun Dare Call It Conspiracy. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think that's a great idea. So you guys can expose the truth about Tim Walz and Kamala and really what their agenda is. And, well, she has no policy, but what Tim Walz did in Minnesota during his reign. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea to educate your fellow brethren who are following the Black Boule, the gatekeepers, that's being paid by the Kamala. Oh, I can't stand her. And you know, who are being paid to spew all these lies and, not really expose her for who she is. So I think that's a great topic. I think you guys should definitely do that. And then I think you should try to, create a flyer to get, as many people as you can to tune into the broadcast. You on all major platforms. So that's cool too. But maybe create a flyer, a banner, and and even let family and friends know who think differently. What I'm saying, because we got to educate our people.
Yeah, for sure. I don't agree. I don't disagree with that at all. Good points brought up. And before I get into this political article, I think political is still kind of center left, so that way we can touch on the Walz situation. Conspiracy brother, what are your thoughts on maybe doing like a episode 30 or some episode coming up, like a Black Men Not for Kamala Harris theme episode? What are your thoughts on that? We can do it just not out of, we can do it outside of just them, but Kamala especially.
Yeah. Well, I think in general it's a good idea, but I didn't vote for Joe Biden, and so I know I'm not black anymore. So I don't know if I'd be the best person to have that conversation.
You lost your
because I don't think I qualify. Because but on a serious note, I think it's a great idea. I despise the woman, so I have absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't really need any motivation to tear her down as much as possible because I think she's a trash individual. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great idea.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Walz has a lot of questionable stuff in his past, and he's kind of a weird figure, right? Because he's all of a sudden like some rock star vice president, man of the people, and I've never heard of him before. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it'd be great to kind of go through their records, because you don't have a policy to go through because they don't have any. Like even this title here, they don't have any policies on the website. That's why I use that in the thumbnail. Let me see if I can.
No policy. And you know what? And I just want to put this out there. So I no longer identify as a Black American. I decided to be Chinese now. That's what I'm going to identify. Because this is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. So I mean, the lady she's out there, he's out there, and so I think it'd be a great show for just real people, real Black people, to sit down, have a show, discuss.
Come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, those who have an issue with her, state their case. Maybe we can invite some pro Kamala people who, we can kind of go through their arguments and their points and kind of even try to look at those on the show just to show why we don't agree with them either, So yeah, I think in general, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, a couple folks come to mind, even on the pro Kamala side, some mutual friends we might know. But yeah. Definitely.
That's exactly who I thought about when I first posed the situation to Not Rocket Science brother. That's the first person that I thought of, and I wondered if they would be willing to sit down with us and have that kind of conversation, knowing how emotionally attached they are to this process. But we'll see.
I'll reach out. I reached that Olive Branch. But I think it's really important. And then make level. It's not just like 2 hours of us punching. You need to have somebody on the other side to take the punches for Kamala, and we'll see who that is. But yeah, definitely. I mean, everything from Walz, because once again, like everybody, like a lot of other people, who's this Tim Walz guy? And of course, it only took a matter of time for enough people, like not even just on the right, just people in general, a lot of common sense people, center, whatever it is, they do the digging on Walz. They see his horrendous 2A record where the guy literally isn't. He voted to create a national registry for concealed carry permits. He voted against the First and Second Amendment by attempting to force the Gun Owners of America to disclose membership list. He exposed gun owners' personal medical history, leading to bans. It's all stuff he did as a Minnesota governor. Voted to restrict the ability of gun owners, hunters, to use the Washington National Historic Trail to create a gun-free zone. I don't know, it's just a whole lot of history. He voted to ban carrying firearms for self-defense in national parks. On top of that, this is a guy who just has his weird history, and I know Nun Dare, you mentioned this earlier, just with his sort of pro-LGBTQ, trans kids. He even had like this, he ran like this sort of, as a teacher back in the late 90s, this club for students to talk about their sexuality, and then just everything up leading till now. There's a weird history there. On top of just literally, he was sort of the shepherd that led to a lot of the George Floyd Summer Palooza, the Summer of Love riots. He basically helped and sort of, I wouldn't say like initiated, but he kind of let facilitate a lot of the riots that got out of control. You know, some of the protests mixed in with the agitators, they all that side. And then of course they all get, you know, arrested apparently, and then they get put in jail. And then he works with Kamala for this Minneapolis Freedom Fund, and he gets a lot of the folks that did a lot of the damage to Black and brown neighborhoods out of jail or never prosecuted. Like you got J6 gulags still getting thrown atop the wall. They just convicted like a 78-year-old grandmother who was praying, went in the Capitol for 10 minutes, prayed, and left. Yet you have all these other leftists that just get bailed out thanks to the Minneapolis Freedom Fund that Kamala helped shepherd. And nobody sees the irony there. No one sees the double standard. But this is an article I want to get into. Nun Dare, do you mind reading this article for us? It's kind of like a little thing we do with each topic. So we can read through this. I know Politico is a little center-left bias, but we can kind of go in here and still pick apart a little bit more of Tim Walz. But unless you guys want to comment on anything I just said about Walz, you know, we got number of time.
Yeah, I want to comment on him. Also, you know, they are a proponent of puberty blockers. They're a proponent for surgery for your children. Like I tell people, if you vote for her, you're voting for transgenderism, drag queen story time for your youth, the puberty blockers. He put tampons in elementary boys' bathrooms, you know, and you're voting for what's my other thing? You're voting for open borders. This is what you're voting for. You're voting for the homosexual agenda. And this is so, and when you say you're a Christian, you're voting for everything God hates. You know what I'm saying? And if you proponent for this, that's what you're voting for. And then when you tell them that, they don't have nothing to say. Well, what they say is, I don't like Trump. And then I say, well, you got Robert Kennedy Jr.
Right. You got Cornel West. Like, please,
exactly.
vote for one of those two for him.
You know, but if you say that you believe in God and you're for all these things, then how can you possibly do that? And I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Go right ahead.
I remember my mother, and then you're voting for abortion. Wait a minute. Wait, before I tell you the story. You're voting for abortion. Do you know, and I did something on my YouTube, why is abortion only promoted in the Black community? Asians don't abort their children. I mean, you know what I mean, to the max that we do. Hispanics definitely do not abort their community. That's why 2050 they're going to be the majority, if they not already, with the 15 million 10 million that's here now. And Black folk, you are being replaced. You will not be needed for a vote. You will no longer be pandered to. And yes, they are taking your Black jobs. You know, and this is just unbelievable to me. But getting back my mother, this is when I was in my Obama thing, and I'm thinking, well, maybe let's give the man a chance. So I no longer vote identity politics.
I fell for that too. I think a lot of us fell for that too.
I really was. And my mother voted for John McCain. And I got on my mother so bad. I said, how could you vote for John McCain? You can't put morality into a satanic system. There is no morals in this. My mother voted for John. She said he is pro-life. And it wasn't until after she passed in 2020 and I thought about that. I said she was right all along, because we have aborted. How many black messiahs have we aborted? It's 20 million. And when I say black messiahs, I am talking about messengers. That we have aborted, and they pander to us. They don't go to the Hispanic. And yes, reproductive rights for women. And yes, and kill your baby. They don't do that, only to the black community. And I did that on my YouTube. So I just wanted to add that. Okay.
I appreciate that. Conspiracy brother. Tim Walz, Kamala.
You know, I haven't looked a lot into Tim Walz, but I did look up. I listened to some people discussing the whole situation with him.
Oh, the stolen valor too.
Yeah, the stolen valor thing. Yeah. So like, but I heard about him doing that tampons in the boys' bathroom thing, and I didn't know about that sexuality club in high school. But to kind of piggyback off of what Nun Dare just said, you know, there is a weird obsession that it seems like the left Democrats have with abortion. You know, I take this approach with it. It should be, you know, like they used to say, safe, legal, and rare. Be something that you do in the rare instances when something happens. I think personally, you know, if a person is sexually assaulted, or, you know, something like that, or a situation of incest, that's a no-brainer for me. And I think there's overblown representation of those instances to try to make it seem like, you know, that this is just happening everywhere all of a sudden, when it's really like 2% of all encounters, sexual encounters. And I also understand that, you know, sometimes people make bad decisions and mistakes. And so, you know, I wouldn't want to have a child be the punishment for a bad decision. I think Nun Dare just dropped out. But when she comes back, I'll bring her back. I don't want a child to be the punishment of a bad decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But she's back. But what I will say is there's a weird obsession with abortion being misconstrued as healthcare, right?
Right.
Language they use, your body, your choice, and bodily autonomy, and females or women should be able to do what they want with their bodies. And we don't allow for any of that type of, we don't allow any other group of people to have that kind of acceptance or exception to making decisions. We don't say, hey, you can't make decisions on going to war unless you served or are serving in the military. You don't say, hey, you only get to make decisions about schools and things like that if you have children in schools, or if you went to this school in this area. You know what I'm saying? Even for men, if a man gets a woman pregnant and he does not want to have the child, he has no say-so in whether or not the child is born. Conversely, if a man gets a woman pregnant and he wants to have the child, he has no say-so in the woman keeping the child, right? And so look at the vaccine situation. When people were saying, hey, I don't want to do this, I don't want to take this isn't safe, there's not enough research, they called you conspiracy theorists, they called you anti-vaxxers, even though we've all been proven right, as far as I can see at this point. We've all, if you are a person who can accept the truth, everybody who was against the vaccine mandates and the vaccines in general can see that we were right. Now, I think that's, you know, that's doesn't even need to be argued, but we didn't give people that credit. You didn't get to say, hey man, if you don't want to take a shot from an experimental drug, You don't have to. It was mandated. So what makes women so special that they get to have all of this treatment when it comes to overwhelmingly mistakes happening from bad decisions? Right? When I say that, I mean it's not sexual assault overwhelmingly. It's not incest overwhelmingly. I don't know what the percentage is of women who, have used protection and the protection didn't work, or birth control and the birth control failed. I think most birth control, the lowest is like 94% successful. But we all know, I mean, every adult should know at this point that abstinence is the only 100% surefire way to avoid pregnancy, And so for me, their obsession with death, with murder, and justifying it. Oh, it's not a human. It's not a baby. It's not a person. It can't live on its own. It's a parasite. The way that you have to tangle yourself into knots to try to justify taking a life is weird. Again, like I said, I'm not going to try to force somebody to keep a child. I won't do that, because I do believe in freedom and autonomy, right? However, I am also a person who has a brain, and I think, well, where does the baby's freedom and autonomy and the mothers, where do they intersect?
You know what? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to interject because it just made me think of something else. And it made me think about Margaret Sanger and Planned Parenthood. Mm-hmm. She was promoted, funded by the Rothschilds to kill all the ugly black babies. That's what Planned Parenthood was started for. And they're still promoting the same thing in the black community.
Women's rights.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, because they only put that on our people, and it's time to stop identity politics and look at policy. She don't have nothing on her where I'm like, you can't make this up. In my 58 years, I have never seen anything like this, and I've been on this truth journey since 17 years old. I have researched, and in my life, I have never seen anything like this.
Well, and that's why I use that as our one of our thumbnail images. But yeah, and I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I said, what was it in another group? And I said, what's going to happen if the Democrats can win the election this year, even if they cheat? If they can win the election this year without having her give an interview. Remember, Joe Biden didn't run in 2020. He just stayed in the basement.
Yep.
So he didn't campaign. That already set a precedent.
Yep.
But if they can have her win presidency, even if they cheat, no policies, no press conferences, only ran for 3 months. This will be their new strategy.
Oh, and let's say that BlackRock is doing her economic policy. BlackRock designed this. I can't really say because I know where you at. Who own everything. They're doing her forming her economic policy. You can't make this up. And if that don't tell you she paid for Jezebel, you know what I mean? And literally, because her VP is Ahab, because when you get down to the brunt of this thing is spiritual. When you dig deep into this research, you're going to find that it's a battle between good and evil, because it's going to lead you to that. It will lead you there. And I'm just saying.
Well, like what you said, though, right? We know what platform are you on, but when you look at the way that these people with a certain ideology operate in this world, right? You look at the way BlackRock has manipulated all these other subsidiary corporations, essentially, because they all need BlackRock's investment capital. Even Disney, who you would assume would be a powerful entity in its own right, has kowtowed to the BlackRock ideology in order to, the ESG, in order to receive money to do films with. where they have gender swapped, race swapped, or LGBTified characters in is what is essentially children's media, family and children's media, in order to, like I said, in order to receive their funds and influence. And this is the issue. We have a group of people at the very top in the shadows who are evil, is an understatement, right? They're just immoral, psychotic, psychopathic monsters of people. And all the politicians who we can elect, who we want to elect, who are eligible to elect, are beholden to them in some capacity, right? And I don't know if there is, short of revolution, right? Short of 1776 all over again, if we as a nation can be free from these people. What has happened, and this is kind of how I look at things, just to try to pull myself out of it and be objective. When you look at the way so many of us are institutionalized, right? So many of us really just believe, even if we claim not to believe, we just believe in the system, right? We believe in civilization. We have been conditioned, educated, whatever, out of having real, raw, base emotion anymore. The only time you can really express those types of feelings is at sporting events, or if you participate in a sport where you can be aggressive, you can hurt somebody and feel proud of yourself. You can try your best, if you're a man, to overpower another man. If you're a woman, to overpower another woman by any means necessary within the legal framework of the sport you're playing, and people will cheer you for it. We don't have that in the real world. We live in a world now, the plastics and the foods. We haven't done a show about it, but I would like us to talk about that appeal, that Bill Gates spray that they put on food so it doesn't go bad so fast, but it's turning the food into like rubberized food, like the bananas and stuff. You can bend them and they don't break open.
Shoot, the watermelon.
Forever chemicals.
It's destroying testosterone. Right?
And I gotta tell you this. And they putting that atrazine. I know that is not how you say the word. They're using that hormone.
Yeah, we get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, they're using that hormone in the water. And I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
it fits.
Not only that, this country is the only country that unalives its citizens and then send you to the hospital. Most of what we eat is banned all over the world. That part.
Facts.
I just got back from Japan. I went to Japan, have 7-Eleven, and so my parents came and my family. And I was telling my dad we were at 7-Eleven buying drinks. And like every drink there, if it's not beer, it's clear. Like Coca-Cola's not clear, Pepsi's not clear. But like sports drinks, they don't have Gatorade and stuff. And the reason is because all the dyes that we use in our food, they can't use it. It's not legal anywhere else. I watched the Jimmy Dore video and I shared it with my family, talking about cholesterol. He had some doctors on and they were talking about how cholesterol actually isn't bad for you. All cholesterol is a sign that maybe your arteries or your veins or something was damaged and that your body repaired it. And they said the more you lower your cholesterol, like your percentage of chance of death increases. And they knew this back in the 50s. They knew that sugar was bad for you and that, fat and meat and red meat and all that wasn't. They knew this in the 50s or the 60s. But, the industry that stands to gain from giving you pills and medication from the bad food that we feed each other, prop the statins up, prop the medication up as an alternative. And so you know, like what you said, we are feeding our own people poison, and then you act surprised when we die. And my dad was so I can't understand.
And I wanna,
my dad was,
I did a lecture, and you guys can Google it. It's called the Flexner Report. Mm-hmm. And the Rothschilds, they funded this Flexner Report, and they sent him around. During this time in the 40s or 50s, there were 1,800 holistic schools, or and I can't because my vocabulary is not homeopathic, schools.
Yeah.
And at the end of this Flexner Report, the Rothschilds, to start the pharmaceutical, to gain money that way,
started shutting them down.
At the end of this thing, there were 4 holistic schools left. And it's called the Flexner Report. Google it. I talked about it, and I think I'm gonna put that on my YouTube channel. But it was funded by the, not the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. I'm sorry, it was funded by the Rockefellers, and that was the beginning of the destruction of our medical system as far as using herbs and things of that nature, holistic health.
Man,
it was destroyed deliberately.
And it's always
throw that in there.
Even this. Oh, I'll let you go. Sorry.
I'm going you wrap it up so we can start.
Okay. Yeah. So even I looked this up some years ago. There is a drug you can buy called Marinol, and they give it to, if I'm not mistaken, they give it to cancer patients, people like that who need to have their appetites improved, and some other things. It's called Marinol, Marinol, if I'm not mistaken, Marinol, and it's a synthetic marijuana. It's a synthetic compound. It's a pill you take, but they would tell you that cannabis or whatever is not good, is not safe. There's no medical benefit. And the issue, like me and my father talk about this a lot, the issue with a lot of that stuff is when you prohibit something's use, when you prohibit the use of something, are there going to be people who abuse it? Yes. Same way with alcohol, which is legal. Same way with cigarettes, which is legal. Same way with pills, which are legal. But what will happen also, and overwhelmingly more, is that people will begin to have a more honest approach to these substances because they can do it legally and safely. Doesn't mean it's going to be a perfect situation. But so this is why you see the medical marijuana industry or the recreational industry being rolled out the way it is, because they want to try to give you stuff that they have already put in pesticides and all kind of other chemicals in that aren't good and safe for you, to mess your brain up so that they can get you to be irresponsible or detached from the real world. They don't allow you to use these substances in the ways that maybe they did in the ancient times, where they expanded your understanding of reality and helped you become a more complete person, understanding your place in the universe.
Exactly.
Right? They want you to use them to completely numb yourself to what's going on.
Exactly. And do you know, I have a friend who smoked weed all his life, and now he got cancer, because there was a point that everybody I knew who smoked weed, and I never had a problem with weed at all, they don't get sick or anything. But because of what you just said, he was diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
And it's control, and they're using it's exactly what you said. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, all these systems, just to kind of bring it back to Kamala and Walz, it's the fact that a lot of this Kamala, Walz nonsense, this hysteria, this black girl magic, let's round it up. Obviously we got a lot of problems with Republicans too, and things with Trump and all that. But this hysteria, this sort of the party that preaches we are the party of democracy, where you have your voter base that actually votes for a candidate, Biden, into the primary, and then just like that, put them aside. How can you be the one touting about democracy? Yet you just cast this candidate aside, and then just like that, just like jump, how high, everybody turns and is on Team Kamala. And that, unfortunately, guys, is the result of people who are so bought into this system, not only a two-party system, but the Democrat Party in particularly, on this is who we need, this is our savior, this is going to save us. And like you were talking about, Nun Dare, not only is it identity politics, but it's racial idolatry. All right. And I talked about this.
That's a good point.
Because the fact is, you can have Black pride. We have pride from where we came from, Africa, our people, Malcolm X, all that. I'm all for Black pride and being proud of where you come from. Because from Ireland, he can have. The guy can be proud of being Polish. It's the fact when you cross into racial idolatry, where you put your skin color above everything else, that is where you end up falling and becoming a puppet for the white liberal agenda. It's not about doing what's best for your people. It's not policy based. It's not about concessions. It's about you're so bought in to this system you're dependent on that you let, whenever they say this symbolic flattery, whenever they show up, you got Nancy Pelosi showing up in an African guard, when you got white people bending down and apologizing to white people. Yeah, now you're stuck in the system of I need the white validation. And because Black is everything, and that's why you got people fall for the racial idolatry. It's not Black pride, because if you had Black pride, you come to people like, where are the receipts for our community? Versus, oh, they made me feel so good. They're Black, she Black, I'm Black, so that's why. And that's the system we got. She
not Black, Walz. But I wanted to say, that's a very good point. But let's call it what it was. They, as much as I dislike Biden, they still did a coup. That was a coup.
Right, that was a coup. Yep.
That man wanted to run, and he had, with his dementia self, he had the right to do that. And they took, and then you don't even vote and you just get the delegates. That's unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's
against the Constitution. And I want to say something about the J6 that you talked about earlier. Yeah. You know, that's why you have to read the Constitution. There's a part in the Constitution that says if your government becomes a tyranny, a tyrant, the people have a right. They have a right to go up against it. That's in your Constitution. I'm just saying, it's in there. Okay.
Oh, great point. Great point. All right. So I think we're all going to agree. What I'm going to do, guys, next topic, Secret Service updates. That political article with Kamala and Walz, I think that's a very juicy topic. Political, I give them credit. I don't agree with them on half of everything, but they at least go deep on stuff and we can kind of nitpick through it and debunk where they're lying at. So I'm going to save that political article. We can walk through that on the Kamala show. We're going to do the Black Men, not for Kamala Harris. We're going to get that together. It may not be the next episode, but before the election day, we will do a Black Men, not for Kamala Harris. And I think that political article is a good one where we can actually break down, deep dive on Kamala, her history, along with Walz. So moving on, next topic. Kimberly Cheadle, obviously, maybe about a week behind on the news cycle. I know she resigned about a week or so ago, but I wanted to give update. You know, I think we should kind of talk and give updates on this Secret Service situation. I got a whole lot to say about it. My biggest beef right now is not only did Kim Cheadle, this is the thing they do where they go to the House, they get brought up in front of the House committee. You got to answer these questions, get subpoenaed. And they just stonewall. They go, well, I need to refer the FBI for that. This is a whole history. And Republicans piss me off just as much because they're like, oh, I'm outraged. They should answer these questions. Well, I showed them, well, there's no accountability. It was only old girl, Anna LaCruz, I forgot her name, a Latino Republican who actually brought up some sort of charges on one of them. But long story short, y'all, I want to discuss Kim Cheadle. She's out at the Secret Service. They brought in this other guy, this deputy director. So there's been no official firings. It took 2 weeks for her to resign, and then finally they replaced her with the down, who has responsibility in this whole Trump assassination attempt. So this whole Secret Service, to me, they're no different from the other alphabet mob, the CIA, the FBI. They got their plants. They got their deep state leaders giving orders at the top. I'm sure there's a lot of great men and women on the ground as far as these different agencies, but they're no different from the Nazis. Like, I'm just doing my job. So I want to get your guys' opinions or thoughts on the latest with the Secret Service. Can it be redeemed? Can it be reformed? Or does it need to be dismantled like the other ones? Because this is just ridiculous. But whoever wants to go first, that's my fire starter on this one.
I don't have much to say on this other than that what happened, I consider it to be a form of treason. And I think that not just resigning, there should have been some other form of not only should she have resigned, that she should have, did prison time. And see, and this is the cover up. There always has to be a fall guy. She's the fall woman. You know what I mean? Because this goes way beyond just her. This is from whatever you want to call Illuminati, cabal, the deep state, globalist, the elite, whatever you want to call it. It seems that high. Because one thing about Trump, he's not controllable. They will control something. Now, he also is a Freemason, so we know that he still is a part, but the thing that sets him apart is they can't control him. And that's the thing that they
I still got a lot of beefs with Trump. I mean, he took money from Pfizer. He approved a military coup in Bolivia while he was in office. He's done some things. I'm not a fan. Yeah. But still,
so we have to know, but the fact of the matter is he's a man's man. And he's not just a puppet, because he's not just gonna do what you want him to do. And to me, I think that whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, because there's going to be another attempt, I think that was just a warning to let him know what we can and will do, which he already know what they can and will do, and he's willing to, because he really don't even have to do this. He could be living a very great life. He don't have to do this. He didn't take a salary. He does not have to, and that's what I believe this was, as far as my thinking, that this was a warning of what, we will do.
Oh, yeah. I got some thoughts. Might be a little long-winded, but Conspiracy Brother, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of, that's a situation we're in with the government in general. There's no accountability at any, they make sure that there are all types of hoops to jump through before there's any accountability any of them can have. And they make sure to follow that. Like, I don't know if y'all listened to the Trump-Elon Musk debate, not debate, but conversation.
Yeah, I didn't catch it yet.
And he said...
I did. That was so good. Yeah, I listened to it.
Well, you hear Trump was talking about, Boeing was selling the Air Force One upgrades, and I ended up getting it for like $1 billion less because Obama just kind of rubber stamped paying for it. And he was like, I'm not paying for that. That's the situation. Like, the government behaves, and I experienced this firsthand. At my job, I was dealing with a guy. He was a military guy, and I was telling him he had to pay this money for an item he was trying to ship. And he said, it don't matter to me. It's your money. It's your tax money. You're paying for it. And it was just like, I could have hit him in his face, but I'm at work. But that's the anger I felt. I was living in D.C. at the time, and there's an arrogance from government employees that, is sickening. The way that they have carved out special treatment for themselves that nobody else gets. And, I don't know if there's a quick fix to this. But that kind of thing really is galling. You'd have to go there and live there for a while to see it. But they live in a, like people say, inside the Beltway, they really almost live in a different country. Things just work a different way for them. And so, yes, she's the fall person, right? Because she didn't orchestrate this. It's above her head. She's, I mean, she looked to be in over her head, just, off her responses and her interactions. But when you watch these types of congressional interviews, inquiries, and testimonials, when a member of Congress asks people a specific question, I'll refer you to such and such. I'll get back to you. I can't say I can't. And these are, what we have to understand, we have to remember is every member of Congress is a representative of us, the people, right? That's what the representative democracy is. Your congressperson speaks for you. You elected that person to to speak in your place to these people. They pass laws in our place. They're supposed to. They don't. They're supposed to. So when a member of Congress is asking a government employee who works for us, right? Presumably, they work for us, a question, and the individual says, I will get back to you, or I cannot release this information. What they are telling you, the employer in this situation, us, the employer, is that they don't have to work for you. They don't work for you. They don't listen to you. And so this is what I was saying earlier. Without going full, and I'm trying to be mindful of YouTube, without going full 1776, we are not going to have any real substantive change in this country for the people. So long as we allow these people to live in a different world than the rest of us, where they get cost of living increases and they get stipends and they get to work, however as long as their work is done, they don't have a set schedule, and they get to have, public transportation paid for, or parking or gas allowance, whatever. So long as we allow them to live within the beltway, away from all of us. And I'm not just talking about politicians. I'm talking about people who work for the IRS, people who work for the Department of Education. I'm talking about people who are just working a job. We are going to continue to be under the heel, under the thumb of these institutions and the people who control them, the money people, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds too. I mean, you didn't intend to say Rothschilds because you were saying Rockefellers, but the Ford Foundation, all these different groups, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos.
Wait. I gotta stop you. When you deal with Ford wrote a book. I got a hell of a library, because back in my time, we actually had to go to the library with no internet.
Go to those meetings, those conspiracy theory basement meetings. Yeah.
Right, but and I had them all the time, and I just stopped, right before the pandemic. I have been having them since 2012, but I have a lot of lectures. I'm about to start posting my lectures on you. But let me just tell you, he wrote a book called The International Jew. Q, the International, 1908.
Wait, Nun Dare, can you share the name of the book again? You kind of cut out a bit.
It's called The International Jew. Jew. That's what it's called. It's a great book from 1908.
All right.
And back then, it wasn't all this. Is just Illuminati. Anyway, they tried to take him out of business, Ford. And when I tell you that man fought, now he didn't like black people. He was very racist. But let me tell you, and this is why the Ford company to this day did not take no money from the government. He set the precedence for his children. He fought them. He went toe to toe with them because they did everything to take down Ford Motor Company. And he won, and of course he started that 40-day work week and all that kind of stuff. But listen, y'all got to read this. My first book I read was called Pawns in the Game, William Guy Carr. He's out of Britain, high-level Britain. They unalived him in the 50s. And then my third book was The International. You got to, by Henry Ford, and he laid the groundwork of how he did that. I know the man racist, but I respect him because he fought and won, and he did not cow down. So when you talk about the Ford, and you have to look at, and I watched them when they needed that bailout, Ford did not take that money. He set the precedence. So I just had to put that in there. I respect Henry Ford. I don't like him, but I respect for what he did.
Great point. Text me those titles. And the crazy thing is, like, once again, we have a government cabal. We have rules for thee, but not for your Unlimited is one big club, and you ain't in it. And it's really what we're living in right now is the communist mask is off. It's off, and they don't care that it's off. They know it is off, and they know, but they don't care. And that's the craziest thing about the Secret Service. Everything from the last few weeks been unfolding from they didn't cover an entire roof. Oh, the roof was too slanted. Oh, the roof was too hot. Oh, we didn't have anybody in that building at all. And it's a matter of, obviously, it's some sort of deep state, some leadership stuff. And here's my prediction that I talked about. I mean, and like you mentioned, Nun Dare, Conspiracy Brother, they are going to try it again. And my prediction is, I kind of talked about this in the group chat, they're going to try and kill Trump again between now and the election, or if he wins between now and his inauguration, they may cut the grid off, the power. They maybe an EMP scenario. They'll drone strike Mar-a-Lago. Then they'll say, "Oh, it was Iran," because the internet will go out. Basically, that outage that happened a week after the assassination, that was supposed to be the big cover-up. If Trump died, they would have done a full-on grid down scenario, and they would have blamed it on Iran. And then what you have left is you would have had two uniparty individuals left. All you would have had is Kamala or J.D. Vance or Nikki Haley. To be honest, I don't think J.D. is quite, I don't think he's resistant enough to where he wouldn't turn down going to war with Iran. It would re-radicalize a lot of Trump's supporters into, they killed your leader. Let's go get him, Iran. So I think that's what they intended to do, because basically I think that's what they intended to do, because the fact is they had to push back Trump's sentencing. So the fact that they pushed back Trump's sentencing to September instead of July, they got the RNC coming up. So they ran out of options. I think that was their intention, to kill Trump, get him off the table, go to war with Iran, get the Trump base warmongered again. That's just my predictions. That was my prediction of what they were setting out to do, with that. And the Secret Service is just the useful idiot, the fall agency, really. Not only the fall woman, but there was a fall agency. But Conspiracy Brother, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I definitely wouldn't put it past them to try again.
Yeah.
Because there was no outrage. Like I said, we're so institutionalized that we, as a group of people, now I'm not speaking I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just saying we as a people, because like Nun Dare said earlier, this was a coup against Joe Biden, right? I don't like Joe Biden. I didn't vote for the guy, but it was a coup. If we can't stand up for right, even when it is against our enemies, then we don't stand up for right. We stand up for convenience. Or we stand up for opportunism.
That's a bar.
Joe Biden was cooled. You had all these different people in the background, politicians, former presidents, vice president, donors, actively saying that the sitting president running for office needed to sit down, or they would use whatever mechanisms they had at their disposal to get rid of him. That is a coup.
And can we talk about how crazy it was just overnight? How, once again, the three of us here, we're obviously not Biden supporters, but we were even like, how you just going to switch up and go from 1 minute loyal, Biden to the end, whatever happened to him, and then one debate, you flip. One debate, you flip. Kamala's in, flip. So,
and like I said,
that's a cult. That's a cult.
Right. And I played that clip.
I'm defending Joe Biden. I'm defending Joe Biden more than like the former Joe Biden supporters. They on Team Kamala. I'm like, what they did to him was wrong. That's a coup. Like, I don't like Joe Biden, but I'm defending his right to have continued to run more than they are. They all on Team Kamala. But anyway, y'all, yeah.
I just wanted to, dang, you made me God, dog, what was I getting ready to say? Here come the
writer's block.
Yeah, because I just wanted to hit on something that you said. I don't forget. Now they'll come back. Let me mute up. I don't forget. Come back.
Conspiracy Brother.
Yeah. So, understanding that, right? We don't have a situation like in Pakistan or in Bangladesh or in Myanmar, where they're just taking the president, the former president, and putting them in jail or trying to assassinate them in broad daylight. We don't have that situation here in America. And so it seems more palatable because we're looking at the example of all these foreign countries, these foreign third world countries and developing nations. Now, if a majority of the people was to run up in the White House and drag Joe Biden out, that's a little bit of a different story because you work for us. And so if we don't want you here, we could pull you out of here. And then, if we got to have a war over it, we'll have a war over it. But it's between us, the people. Before, as I'm saying, Joe Biden was elected, whether the election was fair or not. You said just weeks prior, he's as sharp as he's ever been. Sharp as a tack. This is verbatim. This is verbatim what these people have said. He's as sharp as a tack. Mayorkas, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary. I had conversations with Joe Biden. He's extremely lucid. He's there. He knows what's going on. And overnight, you put this man in the ground.
I remember what I wanted to say.
All right, Nun Dare.
It's Brain just one line. And believe it or not, this will be her, because she dumber than a bag of rocks. This will be Obama's 4th term.
Facts. You get that meme I shared in the group chat? It was like a little, it was kind of like a glass egg of Kamala. You open it up, it's Biden. Open the glass egg up again, is Obama. For sure. Right on the money.
Exactly. Because she doesn't, like that one meme I shared where it was a shadowy figure with a suit on, and he had his hand up, a Joe Biden puppet. And then the puppet was like sick looking or dead. And then he took the puppet off and then he put the Kamala Harris puppet on. And that's the situation. It was an article I looked at today that said that, it's Kamala Harris's party now. Kamala Harris can't string a sentence together without laughing. And not in a, I've got an infectious laugh and a great personality and so much charisma that you gravitate to me. It's an uncomfortable, weird laugh, like a person who can't be on their own without a script. You can't have a conversation with this woman unscripted because she will lose herself, and not in a good way.
Right. Could you see her talking to Putin and China and North Korea?
I couldn't see her talking to anybody. Right. And it's not a woman thing, in my mind. It has nothing to do with her being a woman.
No, it's not. But I'm just saying that about her because guess what? Yeah. Hillary Clinton could do it because she is what she is. And I can't say the word because they know she will unalive you. Right. She got plenty of that behind her. Now, she could do it. I don't like her, but yes, she definitely could do it. But Kamala don't have the backbone Hillary has.
Right. Kamala wants to be a tool. She has no real desire for power. She just wants to be elevated, right? She doesn't really care if the power is all in the figurehead or not. If Hillary Clinton was in office, she wants the power to do, like I tell people, because when you get into this identity thing, especially with black candidates running, it's tricky to try to talk to people about because they just assume you're black and you must like her. But what I tell people is what Hillary Clinton wanted to show people was that women or white women had the same capacity to do evil as the white men have had this whole time. That's what she wanted to be president for.
She was living.
And that's what the liberals, that's what the Democratic Party, that's what they want, right? The stereotype, right or wrong, about Republicans is, they just want an all-white society where white men control everything. And the Democratic Party wants a multicultural or multi-ethnic version of the same thing. So I liken it like this. If during slavery you had all white slave owners and slave masters, the Democratic Party would have gay and black and Hispanic and mentally handicapped slave owners. That would be the difference. But you would not have freedom right? You wouldn't have freedom. You would just have a diversification of oppression. And that's all they want. They want to put a happy face on evil.
That's a good point.
Right?
Now
that's
you
a bar.
saying something on that
That's
one. You absolutely right.
That's a bar. Conspiracy brother. Oh man. So much, y'all. All right. So we just got done talking Secret Service. More to come on that. I think we all got our theories, and I love how we always kind of break it down what the bigger picture is. So once again, guys, you guys are watching Uncomfy Truths. We are live streaming right now on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. Make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe. We are joined today, our special guest, Nun Dare Call It Conspiracy. Definitely hit her up on her YouTube channel as well. Show her some love. And all right, we're gonna get on to the next topic, y'all. Next topic, we got another barn burner, another topic. Unfortunately, this is an election year, and we've had a couple of shootings that's getting a lot of press. I don't know a whole lot about the Roger Fortson case. Let's just focus on Sonya Massey for now. But obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, really unfortunate incident, and I believe it was Illinois, where she was shot inside her home. There was a 911 call. Sonya answered the door saying, 911, apparently she was saying there's somebody in her house. You got these two white officers show up, and unfortunately, as the body cam showed, there was something was off with her behavior. Something going on, and had sort of kitchen got away from the officers, boiling some water, exchange gets a little heated. She basically says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Officer out of nowhere, just like, "Oh, you ain't gonna do shit, I'm gonna kill you." And then next thing you know, she has the water as if she might throw it at him. I don't think she would have, but next thing you know, he takes out his firearm, discharges, shoots, and kills her. So I bring this up to say I'm gonna let Conspiracy Brother as well as Nun Dare, we could break this down. I will say the officer is in the wrong. This probably was a bit of a racial issue, along with the fact that this guy was probably badly trained. This is when we talk about defunding the police and doing all this stuff and kind of demoralizing the police, you're going to get these POSs that end up coming in here, end up getting a gun and a badge. So I think this is a combination of both. This white guy seeing this black woman, there's a little bit of intimidation there. There's years and decades of our own people not policing our neighborhoods. So I think there was a racial aspect of him just not knowing how to deal with black women like that led to that. He's in the wrong. I think the shooting was unjustified, and he ended up doing what he thought was in his best safety, and it was wrong. But at the same time, we do not need to use this. How many other black shootings, or a lot of black people getting killed who aren't just getting killed by a white cop? How many of those black lives being killed are we also not looking at? So we're getting too emotionally caught up on him being a white cop. What if he was a black cop? What if he was any other person that killed her? Would Sonya Massey have the same press if it was a black guy breaking into her home, or a black? So see, this is that the cop, he needs to get accountability, but I don't want this to be another tool, another George Floyd that the Democratic Party can then use and manipulate. Yeah, that's why we need to let us in and we can stop all this, because that's what it's It's losing some steam. But at the same time, let's acknowledge the officer was wrong. This was a bad shooting. I don't think Sonya did anything that deserved her losing her life. But let's not let the Democrats use this as a tool to get you emotional, take your butts to the polls, and vote Democrat and think it's going to solve anything. I want to kind of lay that out. Whoever wants to go and give their thoughts on the Sonya Massey situation.
Quickly, I'm just because I did do a little research, but if you look throughout the history, they have one mass black shooting. If you look 2020, 2016, 2008, it was so many back under Obama's reign, before this. So, it was a tragedy. But her family, now this is in Springfield, Illinois, a rural part of Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Her family, 2 of her nephews were unalived by the police. There has been a clash between her family and the police dating back for decades. It even goes back to some taking of the land. And I was thinking to myself, why the hell didn't they just get the hell out of there? Why would you stay?
Right.
You know, but if you go back into the history of that family there, this has been a history between them and whatever, because she didn't want these particular cops to come because they were from another county. And then she had just got out the mental hospital because you could tell she was having a mental breakdown, you know, but that's as far as the extent that I went with it, you know, because it's so much. But now I will have to say, I know this not the I don't know. But when you deal with Benjamin Crump, who goes around, of course, remember I gave you that name.
He's on it. Ambulance chaser.
Yeah, I gave you that name when you look up Steve Coakley and the Divine Nine when he breaks that down. So Benjamin Crump is the example of the Black Boule. He's a gatekeeper as well. But so, you know, I'll just leave it at that.
All right, Conspiracy Brother, your thoughts on the Sonya Massey situation? Provide us some context, some nuance, or is the Dems just trying to use this as a rallying cry tool, black trauma? You know, it's still wrong, still a wrongful shooting, but your thoughts?
Yeah, so I watch a lot of police auditor videos on YouTube, people who record videos of interactions with police officers, either from like dash cam or video cam or police body cameras, and they'll break them down, or people who intentionally go up to police to exercise First Amendment rights and sometimes Second Amendment rights in front of police officers, and they'll sue or whatever, you know, or just interaction with police. So I've already got a very unfavorable view of police generally, because what these videos show, most of these auditors are white people. So it's not even like it's a racial thing. But what happens to police in most cases is they are trained to have an us versus them mentality. And so when you look at the average citizen that you interact with as an opponent or a combatant, instead of as a fellow citizen who wants what you want out of the interaction, out of life, whatever, you come into that situation with a bad attitude, with a lot of distrust and mistrust and, prejudice, right? And so when I look at this situation, how I understand it to be, I watched the video a couple times. I don't really like to watch a lot of that stuff. I try to be very careful about what I put inside my head, because I don't, it's almost like I in a way believe that there's a finite amount of space up there. And so I don't like to crowd my space with negativity. But watched the video a couple times and I could not see where she looked like she was going to throw the water at him. Right? I couldn't see any angle where it seemed like some people said, oh, she's crouching and she's this and that. What I do find interesting is when she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, he shot her. Yeah. Now, if that's not an admission of some sort, I don't know what is. But that's weird.
That's evil.
However,
that's some anti-Christian sort of guy. Obviously doesn't. Yeah,
that's spiritually evil. But to answer the question that you're asking more directly, I do think the Democratic Party is going to use this as an opportunity to pander to Black people without doing anything to benefit Black people or people who have bad police encounters in general at all. For example, Kamala Harris called the family of Sonya Massey. And somebody in a group we're in said, did Donald Trump call her? And I said, well, no, but would if he would have called her family, would they have received the call? Number one. Number two, if he would have called, would that have made anybody who don't like Trump like him anymore? Number three, did Kamala Harris or Joe Biden call any of the families of the people who were murdered by illegal immigrants to give them condolences?
No, not a one. Not a one. Not a one.
And so we have to be reasonable, you know, whether you like Trump or like Biden or vice versa, whatever. The girl who got murdered in Georgia, I don't remember hearing Joe Biden call her family and try to wish them any kind of condolences. I don't remember hearing Kamala Harris
right. They said Lincoln
at all.
The State of the Union. He couldn't even say her name right.
Right.
Let alone the other 10 plus people.
Right. And so, you know, when we're trying to do these gotcha things, Trump is so, you know, some of us have Trump derangement syndrome and it's terminal.
Yeah.
And some of us have highly functioning Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And some of us, you know, are newly infected and some of us are free. And so we have to be mindful of where we stand on that, you know, with the prognosis of Trump derangement syndrome. Where do we stand on the totem pole? You know, because the Democratic Party, all the whole time Obama was in office, Tariq Nasheed says this, a lot of people are saying this. Obama signed the Blue Lives Law. That gave police more protection. A Republican didn't do that. Trump didn't do that. Right? So whether or not Trump called to speak to this family, whether it would have been politically beneficial or whether he looked at it from a political perspective at all, what we have to understand is that his name has been so tarnished in the media that people, a lot of people wouldn't even want him to call. And so I think in a way, he did a favor to the family by not making it a political situation. You didn't take away from the fact that a woman was murdered in her house. And I think Trump even spoke on it and said, you know, that was wrong. So there's only so much that you could expect from certain people about certain things. The president of the United States should have said something when Laken Riley was murdered by an illegal immigrant who was let into the country, presumably through his lack of securing the border. But just to even comment on what Nun Dare said about Ben Crump, you have a man whose main objective is to make money suing police for himself and make no change for the benefit of the community. He is boule. He is involved in pandering and selling out the black community for money for himself. Because, you know, when things go to trial, I believe a lawyer gets upwards of 50%. So whatever settlement he gets, he's getting upwards of 50% if it goes to trial. And I think 30 to 40 if it doesn't, if they settle out of court. And so his objective is not to, like James Baldwin talked about it, and I believe it was Notes of a Native Son. He was talking about black leaders. And he said in an ideal situation, I'm paraphrasing, in an ideal situation, the black leaders' hope is that they can work themselves out of a job. And when you understand it in those kind of basic terms, that you're working yourself out of a job, if you're a civil rights activist, so you say, or a civil rights lawyer, your hope is that the country will eventually get it right and you won't need to be here anymore. You can be an overseer of the interaction. You can just make sure that, hey, this is still going right. Let's update the laws as new situations occur, as new problems arise. We're not fighting the same old battles. But just like we look at the drug industry, the cancer industry, we've talked about that a lot. Susan G. Komen is not interested in getting rid of breast cancer. There's hundreds to thousands, to hundreds of thousands potentially of people, maybe even millions, who are involved in breast cancer research and development of medications, of events and selling products and merchandise, who would lose their jobs if breast cancer was cured. They have no interest in curing this. Now, since you brought up the airman here, since you got his picture up,
right?
you have a situation where a man who's in the military, again, just like the guy in Texas a couple years back, in the military, is murdered, and there's no outcry. Now, the hypocrisy still comes from all of the people who say that they support the military, are proud of the military, and thankful to the military, that this young man was murdered in this way. I forget the details about him. Like I said, you know, some of the stuff I tried just to not to avoid it in a way that I am naive about it, but just in a way that I don't want that stuff inside my spirit. Mm-hmm. But the question I always have is how, you know, when you watch interactions between armed white people and police, can they manage to get their tasers? Can they manage to subdue the individuals using non-lethal means? And how, when it's us, we're always unarmed and always end up dead. Or even if we are armed, we're legally armed and we always end up dead. I would need somebody to explain the justification to that for me. And there's always, you see a lot in media, a lot of white spaces. I won't say exclusively, but in a lot of white spaces, conservative spaces, you'll see justifications. Well, Trayvon was he had weed in his system, or he smoked weed, or whatever. And just like I said about Joe Biden being cool, just like I said about being able to speak up for truth, justice, honesty, no matter who it is for and who it is against. This is the same situation. The country, the people who control this country, because it's not us, it's clearly not us, the people who control this country are oppressing us all. But since we can't take ourselves out of it, the masses of us, and we look at everything, you know, in this segregated, isolated way. Oh, that's a black cop, so I'm not gonna say nothing. Or it's a black murderer, I'm not gonna say nothing. Even though the victim is black, I'm not gonna say nothing. Oh, it's a white cop and a black person, now I'm upset. Because we look at everything in this segregated way, it ain't gonna ever get better. Because we don't see ourselves in the process. If I understand that when a white person is harassed by the police, that could just as well be me, and so we must fight for justice for all of us, so that isn't me one day, or my kids, or my wife, or my parents. You're never going to get a change. So long as white conservatives find a justification to defend the police at all costs, then when January 6th happened, or the FBI starts illegally targeting conservative groups, or the IRS starts illegally targeting conservative groups, or, you know, the TSA, like what's happening to Tulsi Gabbard right now, starts targeting conservative people. A former congresswoman, an active duty military member. You have nobody to speak up for you. Just like the old saying, when they came for the Jews or whoever, when they came for who, I didn't say nothing because I'm not that. When it came for the blacks, I didn't say nothing because I'm not black. When it came for the gays or whatever, when it came for the Jews, when it came for me, there was nobody to speak up for me. There was no one left. If we can learn that in the situations of power, the power is supposed to rest in the hands of the people, and that we have to do what it takes for us to grab power and maintain it, we're going to be lost. That's what I'm saying. We need to find a way to get to 1776 again. Here we have people who cannot work together to make sure that the police are held accountable in a meaningful way for bad actions.
Oh, Nun Dare, could you mute your mic for us? We could hear some background noise. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's it for me. I thought she was going to talk, but that was.
I did. I just wanted to say, when you said Tulsi name, Trump made a very strategic move by hiring her because she destroyed Kamala in 2020.
Oh, hired her for what?
To prep him for the debate with Kamala. She destroyed her.
Ooh,
Tulsi destroyed.
Okay, she on the debate prep team. Okay.
Yep.
About that.
Yep, he hired her a couple of days ago. I love Tulsi. Yep, and she is being targeted.
What I like about her, she has integrity.
Absolutely. Right? Something that's rare these days.
Right. A person, especially a politician, who has enough integrity to stand up for the truth where they find it, to stand up for what's right where it is, no matter where. Like Malcolm X said, I'm a paraphrase because I can't remember, but he says, I'm for truth, no matter who tells it. I'm for right, no matter who is for or against, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of way I try to live my life. You know, people talk, oh, such and such is right wing. They say, oh, she's right wing. But when the political parties have shifted in such a way that my ideology is the same as it's been, you know, within reason, I'm obviously older, I'm wiser, I have more life experience. But my devotion to truth, as Nun Dare talks about with conspiracies and just trying to get to the bottom of things, my allegiance to truth above all, and righteousness above all, and justice above all is the same. You see what I'm saying? I haven't changed. They have changed. I haven't changed. You all, the parties, the people in the mainstream who have twisted themselves into knots to justify how you can support Kamala Harris, who supports giving Israel money and weapons to bomb Palestinians when you claim that was the reason you wasn't supporting Joe Biden. I don't know how you sleep with yourself at night. When you can say, when we'll say, hey, Kamala ain't done nothing in the last 3.5 years. Why does she deserve to be president? She's the vice president. She ain't doing nothing. When you can say, well, the vice president only has so much power. And then on the flip side, you could try to get me, you could try to get me excited about Tim Walz and him being vice president somehow was going to make Kamala Harris a better president. That's inconsistent. I just like the truth, right? I want to know the truth. And sometimes, as they say, curiosity killed the cat. Sometimes knowing the truth and wanting to find the truth is a fatal flaw of mine, right? Because I like to know things.
Too, because the truth is scarier than the lie.
Yep.
Right.
It will lead you wherever it will. We follow the truth wherever it leads. But the thing is, people rather stay in the coffin of their comfort zones. They rather take the comfortable lie over the uncomfortable truths. Plug, by the way, for what we do.
Know, and this is the problem, because throughout this, and I finally realized this. Maybe you guys already got it. But I finally, because I was talking to one of my coworkers and she dead set connected to this. Because when you start on the search for truth, you come to the realization that everything that you've been taught has been a lie. And that's hard for people to accept.
Yeah.
That everything you've been taught, everything you've been has been a lie. I get it now. They cannot accept that. And once you can accept that everything you've been taught been a lie, you actually have broken free. Now you can dig deeper down the hole, because the hole don't never stop. Every time I think I reached something, I'm like, damn, I found something else.
Damn it. I thought I was at the bottom.
And at 17, I was going to the main library in rare books, read Morals and Dogma by Albert Pike, researching Freeman. I was doing this at 17. And I realized just recently that people are scared of the truth.
Yeah.
Because you got to be a strong person to admit that everything you've been taught is a lie. You have to be a different kind of, I don't know how to put it in perspective, but I just came to that conclusion. And some people cannot accept that reality. And I just got that.
Yeah. And that's something that I've had to come to terms with. And I'm still trying to figure out how to free people. Right. And I don't know if it's a helpless cause or what. But there are people who just want to stay asleep. Yep. They are content. They are better off in their own minds, I'm not saying I feel like it, but they feel they are better off with somebody else driving the driving the vehicle that is their life.
Yeah.
They are fine to be in the passenger seat and not even in the front seat, in the back seat.
The Thanksgiving kids table. You got the adults, the elites at the adult table. You place yourself in the position of a child, and they like that comfy kids table. Make me a plate. Here's your plate, and that.
Now, how about here goes some crumbs? Here goes some crumbs.
Yeah, not even the whole plate. Not even just crumbs.
Right.
You know,
and that's the situation.
And you know what? And it's sad for me because I pretty much have given up on our people. I really have. So, but I deal with the youth because see, I taught my children young age. They know what's going on. It was my son when he was 15. I had no idea. Like, I'm just giving an example. I had no idea about CERN. My son, when he was 15, he brought CERN to me, and I was like, boy, here go another hole. And I got so deep in CERN and where I was like, wow. I said, my kids get it. But that's the kind, it was my mother that started me on the journey. I gave it to my kids. And guess what? When they have children, they'll pass it down to not accept the lie, to always ask questions, to be a seeker of truth. And this is a scary thing for some people, and it's definitely scary for the powers that be. There's somebody who's gonna question you.
Man,
yeah,
it's a bar.
I mean, you know, that is our responsibility as parents and people, and just in society in general, that you should try to pass along the knowledge you have in the hopes that it will be impactful to somebody. You know, that's the reason we do this show. Because
now y'all need to help me because I've given up on our people, but I do have people that I do have a group of like-minded people, and that's why I'm glad I met you. Met you guys. I think you guys are wonderful. I mean, I've learned a lot from what you just said today, Conspiracy Man. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I found, like-minded people need to come together. It's a lot of us. It is a lot of us. But we need to connect into, because see, this is no longer black and white. This is no longer a black and white issue. It is not. Because guess what? They coming after them too. And they listen. It's about the haves and the haves not. It's about class, not race anymore. And it's and so, but it's a lot of us out here, but we need to connect. And I have a lot of people. Actually, I have a lot of people, you know, a few people who actually fought for years. I mean, you should have seen me in the hood in the 80s talk about, they thought I was Looney Tunes. And then 30 years later, it's like, Gina, you was right. Yeah, I was trying to get y'all to buy Microsoft in 80s. I was trying to get all the dope, guy. I was trying to get y'all. Listen. 30 years later, they was like, you was right all along. I was like, it took 30 years.
Took long enough. And I admit, I was one of those people where, you know, Nun Dare, you did talk to me probably maybe even 10, 15 years ago. I was in college and even after that. So it took me a while to come around. But you've gotten some people. There's been a few people in our circle that you have at least gotten to.
And so, you know, and you still got the in our family still got the White and Vincent. They won't.
Yeah.
They listen, because they call me all the time. And you know, and sometimes we talk for hours, and I'm just like blown away. They bring me information.
He helped me get in. Let's not reveal their last names though, but they definitely helped me on my journey.
No, I was. That's why. Yeah. Oh, I did say their real name, didn't I? My bad.
Good. We ain't got their last name. So.
Yeah. but I'm just saying, you know. But and I appreciate that. Because I miss things too, because I try to keep abreast of so much that I miss a lot of, and they bring, and I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that. Thank you for that, you know, and to hear a different perspective, you know, we just all need to come together as like-minded people, and we need to move out into. Listen, I got my passport because I think I'm gonna leave this place. I really do. And I'm thinking about Belize because I'm too old now. I'm not trying to speak Spanish. No, I'm not. I need them to speak English. So I'm looking at English speaking countries because if she get in, she anti-business. When you put a cap on food and it may cost you more to make that product, here come the layoffs. Man, I was listening to The Economist, because see, I listened to that. I think I did a video, America's Broke, when we hit the 35 trillion. Yeah, we broke. We've been broke. And I was listening to The Economist about the policies that she's saying that BlackRock is giving her. I was like, oh, hell, we in trouble. People had no idea how serious this really is. And they think Babylon is falling, honey. Babylon is really going to be done with. And I just don't even... I don't want to be here. I want to look at it from afar, because while people scrambling for food, all I need is a mango and a coconut tree, and I'm good.
What, you fall out of a coconut tree?
I'm saying, because I'm gonna be in the tropics.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I got my passport. I got my passport at the end of 2021.
And my son did not get up to go. Yep, and a couple of my friends got their passport, and we talking about, shoot, buy some cheap land, get somebody build me a hut, and make sure I got me a mango, some coconuts, jackfruit. Listen, that's organic for real. And I can live my life, the last of my days, with my little trees.
Live your best life. Conspiracy Brother, could you put the screen share back up? I was doing some things, but the screen share is ready. Great. We got a few topics left. Once again, guys, you guys are watching Comfy Truths Politics Talk. We are live streaming on YouTube. Finally got around to putting the post up, so we're going to be making more community posts to update you guys on the show. We're on YouTube right here. Also, Rumble as well. We're gonna have a new background coming up soon. That's from like when Roe versus Wade got overturned. So we're gonna have a new background photo for you guys for the channel, and then we are also live streaming on Odyssey. So we got a couple topics left. Actually, 3 topics. I'll prep you guys. We'll probably do better prep you guys ahead of time. I know that I try and send out the list of topics beforehand. So how are you guys doing on time? As far as, does anybody have a hard stop in another 15, 30 minutes?
No, I'm good.
Nun Dare?
Yep, I'm good, because I'm going to go live after this, so I'll be up for a while. Cool. I'll be up to about 1 or 2, because I got to drop at least 3 videos a day. So. All
right, so here's my plan. We got 3 more topics left, and I kind of like what we're doing now, as far as I feel like when we were articles, it kind of bogs us down. I feel like if we know enough about it, let's just talk about what we know. We read enough articles during the week. So I think that's kind of helped with the flow of the show versus kind of reading articles. So I think we've been kind of really getting a lot done and having full discussions instead of just reading. Last topic, I wanted to talk about Mr. Beast, the YouTuber, his downfall. I don't know if you guys have been following. He had this guy on his team, had a wife and a kid. All of a sudden, he started falling for the trans stuff. Identify as this. So that whole thing of him grooming and talking to fans of their show. There's that. Then we got the Venezuela. Actually, there's that. I want to talk about the Paris Olympics opening and closing ceremonies. And then we get in with maybe the Venezuela election corruption. So do you guys like that order? We do Mr. Beast, talk Paris Olympics, and then Venezuela corruption. We might be in the show there.
Okay, y'all educate me on Mr. Beast. I heard of it, but I didn't really
let's get into this one.
So I'm going to sit back and listen on Mr. Beast.
All right, I got a lot to say, but Conspiracy Brother, if you want to sound like you got a little bit to say on that. And I'll give you my thoughts. Yeah.
So I'm looking more into Mr. Beast, not like a crazy amount, just watching videos a little bit about him because I didn't know anything about him until like maybe 3-4 years ago.
Right.
And he was already huge at that point. But coming to find out, I guess he's linked into some kind of talent agency or some publicist that really helped to blow his channel up. Because like I said, I had never heard of the guy. And I guess he received money from the agency to do, because, you know, he was given, I give somebody a new car, I give somebody $10,000 at Meijer or Walmart or, you know, right. Best Buy or whatever. So, you know, those kind of videos really make people want to watch it. The idea that you can randomly meet a Mr. Beast somewhere and he'll give you $10,000 to do something. But so they went into a little bit of detail about how he's not really an organic content creator in the way that some of the others are, where they just, you know, had a camera and set up and just were popular.
Right.
A lot of that has to do with how YouTube's algorithm has changed over time. But basically, his friend Chris Tyson, I'm not going to use the change name. I don't think that's relevant. I feel like at the point that you become a predator, you lose any right to have any respect for the BS about gender and all that crap. But his homie Chris Tyson is a couple years older than him. They kind of got on the YouTube journey together, and you know, he's been like he was like Mr. Beast's first subscriber, and they've worked together since, I guess, Mr. Beast was like in the 8th grade or something, and Chris was in like the 9th grade or 10th grade. Mm-hmm. Anyway, kind of like what you said, 3 or 4 years ago, he came out as trans. He had a wife and kids, or at least one kid, and you know, he was transitioning on the show. And a lot of people were saying, hey, you know, Mr. Beast, you should kind of try to separate yourself from this guy. You don't really want to bring that kind of stuff to your channel. It could be a lot of headache. And he was like, no, that's my friend. I'm not doing it. Whatever.
Down. The guy doubled down.
He doubled down. He was telling people, you know, you're bigots or whatever. Fast forward to now, comes out that Chris has been messaging minors, has been sharing inappropriate pornographic materials with them, pictures of himself, and maybe even some racist stuff in the Discords.
Yep.
And maybe even some proof that Jimmy, which is Mr. Beast's real name, Jimmy Donaldson, I believe, has been aware of it at the very least, and maybe participated in some of the racist memes and joke sharing on the Discord as well. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like this is going to completely disrupt this media empire that he is trying to build, that he's trying to cultivate. And so you can see this one from Marca. It says ex-employee claims YouTube star knowingly hired a sex offender. And his girlfriend says only half the accusations are true. And you know, which half? That he knew about the pedophilia, or that he's a racist? You see what I'm saying? Because that's two.
Right.
So which half? You know what I'm saying?
And it even says
which one is worse?
Made him possibly look even worse. Like, so she didn't even help at all. She just made shit worse.
Right. Because I've just given you two accusations: that he knew about the pedophilia and that he willingly participated in the racism. And so which one is worse? Right. And so now, you know, he's a big backlash because you know, he tried to create an empire, a YouTube empire. And as they say, his channel is bleeding views and subscribers as the allegations continue to pour in about what he was doing. Because, like I said, with what the information I had, I maybe watched some videos about it a week or two ago. But this is the issue. This is the underlying fear that a lot of people who are skeptical about all this trans stuff is that they are predators. That is, specifically the males are predators who are using this as a means to predate upon children, young women, girls, however you want to. And unfortunately, what we find is that the majority of these cases that you see publicized in the media, trans story time, drag story time, kids at drag shows, kids at pride events, right? What has happened, kink at pride, is that, like, I got a video my sister sent of this guy at a pride parade. He's butt naked, standing next to a child that is not his child. And a guy comes up and interviews him and says, do you think that's okay for you to just be out here naked? And he seems like you maybe have some kind of mental retardation. He said, well, you can be pregnant. I mean, you could be naked at pride. It's no problem. And he says, yeah, but it's a kid next to you. And he said, I didn't know. And so it's weird. Like for me,
yeah,
my oldest child is 9. I have a 9-year-old daughter. She's at the age now where I don't think it's okay for me to see her in a certain level of undress as her father, her biological father, who changed her diapers, who bathed her. She's getting to an age now where I don't think it's acceptable for me to see her in certain ways now, because I'm her father. I'm a male. Her mother, that's different. And so for me to see these individuals, like the story of the guy in California who was a man and he was in the women's locker room and he took his wig off. And so a woman was in the showers and she came out and she saw him standing naked and she was so afraid that she hid in a locker or something until he left. And he eventually sued. It was like a Crunch gym or something. But those people don't do anything to try to assuage the fears of all of us that they're predators, or even those who want to participate in the sports, that they are trying to destroy women, that they're trying to hurt and harm women and young girls. And so it is unfortunate that our suspicions were correct. This is the kind of situation that you do not want to be right. You'd like to be wrong. You'd like to think Chris Tyson was a predator and then, find out that you just made assumptions and prejudices against him. You'd hate to be right, as we were now. We are now right. We're being proved right daily.
And it's unfortunate. The conspiracy brother, great perspective. Because once again, I feel like part of I always saw something off about Mr. Beast. Like, sure, he's a funny, weird looking white guy. Of course, that goes without saying. But at the same time, like, there was just something off from the fact that we kind of lived, he kind of ushered in, I think he's an industry plant. I think not that he just started working for the CIA, was brought in. I think that he's one of those things where YouTubers catch the right algorithm, they catch the right steam. Like you mentioned before, he was signed with a talent agency, and they saw the content as the very basic, low-level, low-information content. You go through Mr. Beast stuff, there's some entertaining videos. He gives away money for this. I'll give you $10,000 to fight these people in the parking lot. But yeah, then I also give $1 million to cure this girl's cancer. So it's like a lot of weird, nuanced stuff. End of the day, it has a very dystopian type stuff. It's kind of like that's the slap competition. There's 2 guys, and it's literally huge on Rumble and all these YouTube videos where just slapping people back and forth. And that was even like a movie a while back. I don't know if it's Idiocracy or some sort of movie where the biggest entertainment or show was a movie where people literally slapped each other. It was like the #1 network show that everybody watched. It was some movie, I forgot the name of it. So he kind of reminded me, that was already off about him. Like, okay, he has this very lowbrow, low-level thinking content that's popular. People can like what they like. Is mindless consumption. But that was off about me. Him showing up and have all these product deals and kind of just being sort of platformed, if you will. And then, when these allegations came out, I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt as well. Like, okay, well, there is the infiltration of predators, minor attracted people that you call themselves, that has been infiltrating different facets of entertainment. So I already knew that was a thing that was going on. So I was like, if this is true, it wouldn't surprise me because they infiltrate everywhere else. But let's just see. So I even gave the guy I thought was weird, was very low brow content. I still gave him a pass. And now when it comes out, you got guys who were fans of his that were in part of his Discord on how the Chris Tyson guy who transitioned to Ava was in basically the story of the micro story was that the Chris Tyson guy was hired to run Mr. Beast's Discord that used to be private with about 10 or 20 people. And these boys who were like 13, 15 at the time, Chris Tyson was maybe 20, 21. He would be saying things like in the group chat, calling them daddy, sort of hentai content, and doing very weird stuff that was screenshotted, that was documented. And when that came out, then you kind of knew, oh shit, this is like long after Mr. Beast said, how dare you come after my friend? This is trans hate. So my thing is, Mr. Beast, is that I think at this point, this guy had knowledge of what was going on, tried to cover it up, or sort of explain it away. So either way, at a minimum, this guy was complicit in it. You know, on the extreme side, maybe he thought it was okay. He knew about it. Hey, trans, he's whatever, he can do that. But at a minimum, he was complicit through his denial or covering it up. And the chickens are coming home to roost. And Cat Williams is like batting 20 for 0. He kept saying this would be the year of truth. And we're seeing it over and over again. He said he sat down with Shannon Sharp January 2024. Like the truth is coming for all of them. And we continue to see it over and over again. So I think Mr. Beast is the latest part of Cat Williams' Truth 2024 campaign, because it comes down to a gut feeling. And I just knew something was off about this guy. And like you said, Conspiracy Brother, I was hoping like maybe I'm being a bigot. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and I judge people by the book. But when you see the trans agenda being infiltrated, every other facet, every other industry, YouTube, or the biggest YouTube star in this case, isn't immune. So that's all I got. Nun Dare, if you wanted to give your thoughts maybe on the greater part of this agenda, because this YouTube, just like Hollywood, they're full of satanic, sort of things. But if you want to give your thoughts, Nun Dare, that's pretty much, we want to kind of bring you up to this story was about.
So the way what it sounds like is that to me he was always a plant. This was always the agenda. But let's see, and the only way to really see how deep this goes, let's see if anything happens to him. Did YouTube take him down? Take down this
Nope. No, there was an article about him like continuing to do videos, and he's getting like a lot of sort of backlash on that. Mr. Beast fans demand answers. YouTuber uploads new videos. This is from one day ago. Ignores allegations.
So you see, if nothing happens, then you already know it's a plant and it's a go, and nothing's gonna happen. But see, they take down the people who talk truth, who expose things. They get taken down all the time, and there's certain code things you can't say. So if he's still on here, he's definitely a part of the agenda, and part of that agenda is depopulation.
Facts.
And that remind me, Jezebel said in one of her things when she talked about food and we need to depopulate. She said that out of her mouth.
Oh, Kamala?
Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna play the video. I gotta find it. I got it. She sure did. She part of the agenda. Mr. Beast is part of the agenda. And if nothing happen to him, then you already know.
Well, and that's, what happens the same way traditional Hollywood stars are manufactured by the intelligence agencies. guy I don't listen to him anymore. Used to be on Jimmy Dore's show all the time, and then he went full COVID vaccine fanatic. And so I stopped listening to him. But Graham Elwood.
Okay.
But he had a series of shows where he talked about how the CIA has been in Hollywood since the 40s.
Oh yeah. It's called They the ones that did the MK Ultra experiment. The Monarch Project,
Mockingbird.
Right.
Great book called Chaos.
Right.
CIA and Charlie Manson.
Yep. Right, and they're also part of the predictive programming. That's a fact.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't watch TV. So I get none of my stuff from. I listen to Russian, Israeli, Al Jazeera. Well, Al Jazeera is kind of iffy now. BBC definitely, but back in the day, when they first were up and coming. Al Jazeera was the bomb, but not so. But I listen to the Indian. I listen to.
What is it? WION, I think.
Yeah, I like them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but my Russian it starts with an R. Oh my God, I can't.
RT.
Russian Yep. Yeah. And Israeli, I do like him. So I listen to. I just try to keep a wide scope of getting different perspectives for different people around the globe, because we already know that. And see, that's another thing they don't like it, because everybody had to change when Trump said fake news, because it is.
Yeah.
How could the most hated person in the world become all of us number one? Predictive programming, propaganda. That's what this is. How is that even possible? So it works.
X.
But so this is one of the things like he talked about with the manipulation, right? So like one of the conditions of like a Hollywood movie is if you want to use what the government will say is like, hey, you can use our planes, you can use our real bases or whatever, but you can't make the military or the government the bad guy, right? That's the condition. You can use our real stuff. And so when you look at, like, one of the reasons is, I thought about this a lot. When you look at Marvel movies and the Avengers and stuff, why are the Marvel movies more popular than the Justice League movies? Because when you really look at it, the members of the Avengers are really B-tier superheroes, right? Hulk might be the closest to A-tier out of that group. Thor was a B-tier character. Iron Man, he might be able to straddle the line between A and B tier. Captain America was B tier. Black Widow, you see what I'm saying? But you have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash. You know what I'm saying? And those movies can't pop off for nothing. They keep having to reboot those movies.
Yeah.
But why did the Marvel movies gain so much traction? Because they used, like I always talk to people, right? I never saw the Black Panther movie, but I've seen pieces of it. And so this is like the pandering we talked about earlier. But when you look at I muted you, Nun Dare, because I can hear a little feedback. So if you want to talk, feel free to unmute. But I just muted you because I can hear a little feedback. But when you look at the Marvel movies, the Black Panther movie, so they try to do this like pseudo, political whatever, where they had the white guy who was the CIA agent. They called him a colonizer. And like this was supposed to be some big dig at white people in the Black Panther movie that everybody called him the colonizer. But at the end of the day, he was a CIA agent and you helped him to survive. You healed the CIA agent who you knew, because y'all had all this technology. You knew the CIA was responsible for all kind of mischief all around the globe, specifically and especially in Africa. And y'all still helped this man to survive a mortal injury. And y'all want to try to play this fake woke stuff about, oh, well, we're going to call him colonizer the whole movie, so that makes up for it. No, that ain't how it works. But you made the CIA guy cool. You was rooting for the CIA. So cool, you can use our stuff. You see what I'm saying? So this is the manipulation that we saw in old Hollywood is just coming to new Hollywood, which is the internet. Everybody on the internet who's big, and the Kamala Harris thing should put it all to rest. Everybody on the internet who's big, I won't say every single body, but everybody on the internet who's big, like Jimmy Dore, he's been fighting to get 1 million subscribers for a minute, and he's popular. But you look at Breaking Point, you look at the Young Turks, you look at Kyle Kalinske, you look at all these different people like that
who have been willing to sell out. Turks. I don't like him anymore. But
they're just sellouts.
Right, because let me tell you, everybody got a price. I'm just saying it's a rarity that someone does not have a price. You name the price, they sell their soul.
They took a bunch of funding,
and that's a fact. I've seen it over and over again. So whether and that's a true thing of selling your soul. That's very true. And the sacrifice, that's very true. But I want to say this, and you made me think about this. When Aiden Ross did the interview with Trump, it took so long for him to hit 1 million because they shadow banned it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, then you got Kai Cement come out, and I don't know who this other little white little YouTuber was. Secret Service, quit calling me. I am not going to interview Kamala Harris. I don't even know who she is. Kai Cement, like, I am not into politics. Secret Service, and I'm like, wow. Mess me. I don't know why I was shocked. I don't know why, but I was. And I was like, you can't make this up. They not in. And Kai Cement was like, I really don't give a F.
Yeah.
And this is how most people think. Young people think, not all. But I think the majority of young people, the Gen Zs, my son, he just turned 21. They don't give a fuck. They don't. And when they said that, like, quit calling me. We're not interviewing you. I'm like, she's dumber than a bag of rocks. What questions she think that they gonna, I forgot, you gonna give them a list of questions to ask you.
Controlled questions seen ahead of time.
Exactly. And you see, they fired the black lady who admitted on the radio station that the Biden administration gave her the questions to ask, and they fired her off the radio station. So the manipulation is real. I'm just agreeing with you. Just made me think of those, because I don't want, I'm not on Twitch or anything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who Kai Cement was until New York incident. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a Gen Z. That's not something. But then when I realized and I started kind of watching him, and I said, wow, this is deep. I said, let me get on social media and see what I can do with the truth. And, it is what it is. But who's meant to hear you will hear you.
Facts. All right, y'all. You guys are listening to Uncomfy Truths. I am your host, Conservative Brother Daily, here with Conspiracy Brother and our special guest, Nun Dare Call It a Conspiracy. Follow us on YouTube, also Rumble, as well as Odyssey. Now, I do apologize, Conspiracy Brother. I know you posted in our Google Doc a few articles. I think we were trying to maybe get around to that. One was from The Guardian discussing Tulsi Gabbard, Trump hired on the that we talked about earlier, that Tulsi got hired for the debate team. Also, Elon Musk is clashing with the UK government over far-right riots. There's also a CBS article about the Biden administration Supreme Court, and then also But yeah, we can. Which one of those do you want to maybe pop into first? Maybe we can discuss
the UK, because I just dropped I dropped a video the other day on the UK. Oh, they tearing it up. But this is what, when you look at the European countries, see, this is the difference. The Europeans are not afraid of they go up against them for whatever cause that their government's trying, that they don't agree with. They go head up with them and they make change. It's not like us who sit back and wait till it's already done and say, wow, I can't believe they did that. We just they get down over there. And Ireland kicked out all they migrants. Okay, they get down and dirty over there.
Well, they're starting to. They didn't do it all yet.
Well, I'm talking about
like
just Ireland,
process,
right? It didn't happen at first, but it took a tragedy for that to happen. We had several tragedies, 3 or 4 minor women that was great. You know what I mean? And unalived here.
But let me tell you, that goes back to the racial idolatry, because I even called this out in the group chat, where there's a certain amount of black people, mainly the PMCs or just the normies in general, where if once again, if the Title IX, if it doesn't say Title IX was reversed, that hurt black women's rights, if it was like a black woman killed by a legal migrant, if it wasn't like, a black girl was cheated out of the sports competition due to a trans person, like, black people don't want to hear it. They think it's not going to affect them.
I'm not just saying for us. I'm talking about in general. They get down over there. They stand up against tyranny. They really do. I mean, when them farmers, when they was gonna take them farmers' land in France, them farmers got on their tractors and they marked, you can't make this up, and they had to repeal that law that Macron whatever was going to do to them, and we don't do anything. Nothing do we do. We sit back and take it.
Well said. So, conspiracy brother, touching on that, she laid out the question for, why don't, for the sake of time, maybe we can kind of discuss offline, but maybe moving forward we can present these articles, but we don't necessarily need to read them all, like we've kind of been doing for the sake of time. I mean, if you want to read this one, but maybe if you want to share with us the significance of this article as well, and then we can at least get through all your articles, but we don't have to like read everyone start to finish.
All right. Well, yeah, we don't have to read this one. But essentially what happened is the UK government wants Elon Musk to ban people talking about the reasons for the riots. I don't know if a migrant did stab these girls, or if it was a Muslim migrant or whatever, but apparently Elon Musk retweeted information saying that it was, and a lot of other people have. And so the UK government is trying to say that, Elon Musk needs to censor Twitter so that dangerous misinformation is not spread or shared.
Oh, there they go again.
Right. And they said that they would arrest even Americans who promote this, because it wasn't a migrant. His parents were from Rwanda who stabbed those little girls. They were from Rwanda and he was born there. So, but he is.
But he's not a native. He's not of the native land, the native country.
Right, but his parents are, and they are Muslim. But when it first came out, they said it was a migrant, and that started the whole thing. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of women over there as well. Just same thing that's happening here is happening there. Same thing.
Facts.
And so they said that they would, and so they asked them a question, because I talked about this. They asked them a question, well, how are you going to censor people, who are not even here, but they said that they would if they find any information. And I talked about that in a video I dropped the other day, that they would, and I think I read, not this particular article, but I read another article, that they would try to censor, people in America. And I'm like, nah, I'm like, you can't. But this is what the New World Order is about: one world religion, one world currency, a dictatorship. And this is where we at. I never thought I would see what I'm seeing now. I didn't think I would even be alive to see this, but it's here. And it's only two things that's standing in the way for it to come to fruition. And that is the patriots in America and Iran. Once them two fall, because they about to destroy the patriots. And that's what J6 was all about. But now, Iran, once the Middle East is done, that's it.
Yeah. I talked about that earlier. The Middle East
will be overtaken and the patriots here. And that's why I see why they have to destroy. And you can get that information from Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper, and they unalived him, and his book came out in the 90s, a great book, Behold a Pale Horse.
They want the war with Iran so bad.
He was a CIA agent, and they unalived him as well. But Behold a Pale Horse, and he talks about what we're talking about today. Yeah, great book. I use his information all the time.
It's on my list. And I gotten some screenshots from the book. I've looked at, I first looked at it about a couple years ago. I still got to read the book. I have looked at excerpts.
And on my channel, I'm reading Project 25, and I'm reading The New World Order by Ralph Epperson. Great. His book, The Hidden Hand, is like my Bible. He's still alive. Ralph Epperson, he probably in his 90s. Oh my God, his books. But I'm reading The New World Order on my channel. I think I'm on chapter 8 or 9. I think
you got to shoot me these book titles,
Man, I mean, when you come, just come on. I'll let you borrow some, but now some you can do a PDF. They on there. Like now you can do Pawns in the Game PDF. You can pull that up.
Yeah. I have Behold the Pale Horse PDF if you want it. I got the hard copy.
No, I got the book. No, I got the book, but I'm just saying. But he outlines why there's a chapter in his book that the patriots have to go. I didn't get that until I see now. They gotta destroy the patriots. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Conspiracy Brothers, send me that PDF. Great talk. Great. Also, once I do apologize, we're gonna get.
I just want to say this. I have about 15 tubs of books, and I said I was gonna go through them and start just getting rid of them, and just because I need to really downsize.
We don't burn books here,
No, I'm not gonna burn them. No, I'm gonna keep my Bibles. Now I'm gonna keep my Bibles, but some of this stuff I need to I need to downsize, because see, my kids, I got Generation X and Z. They don't read, they Google. So,
Yeah, facts. Conspiracy Brother, I do apologize. We are kind of backloading all these articles. We got a couple more left. I feel like we can still mix it in with the last two topics.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and touch on these without maybe reading the whole article, but I want you to give your thoughts on these articles you wanted to share.
All right. Well, I did want to say this before about the UK article. But I mean, this is why we fought a 1776 against those people. You know what I'm saying? Because we wanted to have free speech. And we wanted to have a Second Amendment. And so we had a revolution to get rid of them. So if they think that they're going to be able to impose restrictions on the First Amendment in the United States from the UK, they got another thing coming. We fought a war against those very people to establish and protect those rights. So it's just interesting how cyclical life is. But with this, so the Biden administration was trying to expand Title IX, which was a law passed in 1972, 3, or 4, to make space and opportunity for women to participate in sports in school. And they wanted to expand it to cover people with gender identity and sexual. What is it? Sexual. It's gender identity and sexual. I forget. Sexual something. But it was essentially going to expand the rules for LGBTQ in order to allow for trans people to participate on sports matching their gender identity. I think sexual preference is the word I'm thinking of. It was protect sexual preference and gender identity.
Your gender identity.
And there were different pieces of the legislation that different states challenged. And the Biden administration wanted the Supreme Court to allow, I believe there was a stay granted in either Missouri or Texas that allowed for the law to not be applied or to be put on hold until it was worked through the courts. It would not be implemented. And the Biden administration was trying to ask that the court allow the portions of the law that did not have objection from the states. And the Supreme Court determined that there was such a dramatic change to the word sex in the law that it would be impossible to extricate those unchallenged aspects of the law from the challenged aspects of the law.
So, irony of they're doing a profile on a former U.S. Soccer athlete, female athlete, and then the article literally talks about the further, this Title IX, which would have repealed women's rights, especially women's spaces in sports. It just got repealed, and yet this video showing a female, soccer player who wouldn't have to deal with any of this because she played like 20 years ago. I just wanted to point out that irony. But Nun Dare, if you had your thoughts on at least Supreme Court having some common sense and finally blocking this absurd Title IX rule, which would have set women back like 45 years. Nun Dare, if you had any thoughts on it. Okay, I guess Nun Dare stepped away. But yeah, I think that once again, we're seeing we're going to continue to see this demonization of the Supreme Court because they're already talking about Biden's been already had that challenge where they're trying to challenge, we're going to put in a proposal because at this point, Biden is towards the finish line. So he's like, I got my last 100 days. I might as well be as radical as I can. So I'm sure you guys already been hearing about the Biden administration doing these challenges. We're going to go to Supreme Court and, the way they've been ruling is unethical, and we're going to try and limit their power. So Biden's just off the hinges now. It's like, I got 100 days left. I'm going to do everything I can. And Supreme Court is once again, I'm sure they're ruling, you spoke about the liberal judges that probably ruled against it, but you got some comments being done. This, feedback like, hey, stop right there. We're not about to let you set women back. What you think is progressive is regressive for women. So that's all I got. Unless anybody else want to comment on this, it's just, I think it's a win for now. Supreme Court is doing what it needs to do. And we just got to keep calling out the absurdity of this. That's all I got to say. Anybody else?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is interesting. where feminism has kind of gone, because I blame this all on feminism, where women have fought so hard for equality that they've essentially gotten to a point where they're fighting against programs and laws specifically set up to give them an opportunity to participate. Because, in truth, there is no reason to watch women's sports if a male sport equivalent exists. The same way that if you like college sports, you don't watch the worst college team, you watch the best. Or if you like, or let's just say, if you like football, you may be willing to pay more money for a professional game than a college game. Or the tickets may cost more for a college game than a high school game. It's the tiers of expertise and ability that you're paying for, the entertainment factor. And women's sports in general are not as entertaining, and so there's not an organic desire to see them. So you created a mechanism through Title IX to give women the opportunity to participate, even if their sports don't generate the same level of attention. What you're doing now through this is essentially making another avenue for men who cannot compete at the highest levels against other men to compete and win. And so it's a ridiculous situation. I'm only invested in it so much because I have daughters, I have a mother, I have sisters, I have a wife. And so I don't want them going in the bathroom with the people in my family. I don't want them participating in sports against my daughters, taking away opportunities for them to compete and to excel in their lives, to gain the level of character and self-respect that comes from participating in sports. I don't want that. But again, I think this is a feminist issue. And so as the feminists are against patriarchy and male intervention in their dealings and doings, I think that is, why I kind of step back in general.
Right. And I just want to add on, and this is why I think Biden was proposing, because they did ban it. He was proposing term limits on the Supreme Court justices and some other things he was trying. It's not going to pass.
Yeah, in retaliation, it's totally unconstitutional.
Right, because it's written in the Constitution. I was going to say that, but when it comes down to the sports, no matter if you're taking female hormones, you still have a level of the XY chromosome, because I can't say the word testosterone. However you mean, you still have that. And that lady in the Olympics who passed away said she had never in her life been hit that hard by a transgender. You still have more power than an average that has an XX chromosome. Come on now, this biology. And I thought that was shameful. But if so I'm glad the Supreme Court did what they did.
Great point. Great point, everybody. More news on this as it comes in. But yeah, definitely. All right, y'all, we got to talk about this. Paris Olympics, opening and closing ceremonies. A lot of things going on. I caught, like a lot of you guys, especially on the thumbnail, about this opening ceremony with the drag queens kind of reimagining the Last Supper. And then I didn't catch the closing ceremony, much of it, but I know it had something to do with the Antichrist. But this is something they've been doing for years, what we call karmic retribution, telling you who we are, what we're doing, and we put it in a form of symbolism, a form of a dance or a ritual. So when these things really happen, and you get unalived, you know what? We tried to warn you, but you didn't listen. So really quick, we can kind of talk about conspiracy brother Nun Dare. Whoever wants to jump in first, you can hit on the opening, ceremony, the closing ceremony, or both, and give your thoughts on, we've been seeing this for years, going back 2012, even before that. But give us your thoughts on this year, this year's WEF globalist warning through the Olympics.
Well, God got his justice back. So, I mean, it was shameful. I mean, but this is what they do even at the halftime at the football game. I'm not much into sports anyway. However, it was a complete mockery of God. But let me just bring this point out. They don't do this to Allah because they know that the Muslims will come after your head. Okay?
Yep.
They don't do this to Hindus. They don't do this to anybody else but of the supper because what? Christians just so passive, they ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Meek,
but I
like
do
a church
want
mouse.
to say, and then the raising of the Antichrist was at the end of the show, where they raised up and presented the Antichrist to you, which is the same thing CERN did. So this is nothing new when it comes to European countries. CERN did when they did the Son of Prediction dance, where they presented the Antichrist to you, and the French President Macron, he was there, a whole lot of heads of state around Europe. So this is something that's not new, but however, after they did that mockery of the Last Supper, there was a power outage. 800,000 people were stranded at the train station because they could not get home. They derailed some trains. There were some explosives that went off. The internet went down. It was another thing. Oh, arson attacks happened right after this. So you could say, well, yeah, I believe you're right, because the power outage. Oh, and cell towers went down as well. So it was some retribution for the mockery.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's all I got to say about that.
Great take, Nun Dare. A lot of spiciness there. Definitely calling things out for what it is. Conspiracy brother, give us your take. Opening, closing ceremony, just Olympics in general, and all its satanic glory.
I got to be honest with y'all. I didn't watch the Olympics. I mean, I saw pieces of it at work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's all BS propaganda. I'm not surprised that they did that. As I said earlier, there's a real weird desire for these people to be around children and presenting this debauchery and this abominable action to kids, and they want to present it as though it's normal. This is just normal behavior. But like I tell you, when you expose your kids to this kind of stuff, what happens is you teach your children that this is an option for you, right? When you expose somebody to something, like I tell people this in like these kind of terms, and it kind of sounds funny because it's kind of redundant. But when you give children a choice, they'll have choices. In the most basic way, when you give children a choice, they'll have a choice. So if you tell your kids, hey, we eating this today, they'll eat that, or they won't eat. I mean, that's still a choice not to eat. But if they eat, they're going to eat this. But if you say, hey, do you want pizza? Do you want chicken nuggets? Do you want salad? Do you want candy? Do you want pop? Now you've got a list of choices they can all have. Some of them good and some of them bad. And this is what happens here. We allow our children to be exposed to this poison. And we call it equality. I ain't never been to a parade where I've seen a heterosexual couple walking down the street butt naked, or wearing lingerie, or doing pseudo-sexual acts in public. I've never seen it in my life, right? Never in public. But we are expected to believe that equality means that we allow people to present their twisted, disgusting, sexual behaviors to the world in public and that's okay. That's equality. That's equality now. Not that I can say this is indecent. Not that I can say that this is inappropriate for me or my children. The Olympics is supposed to be a family event of the greatest athletes around the world participating for their countries to bring honor and glory and have their names written down in the history books. I can't say that no more because you want to have these people who engage in disgusting acts, undermining, as you said, Nun Dare, undermining religious belief, sentiment that people hold near and dear. In order to what? What was your objective? If it wasn't to be disgusting, if it wasn't to infiltrate homes and families, if it wasn't to be sacrilegious, what was the intention? Was it to promote something French, explicitly, unequivocally French that I am unaware of? It was not a celebration of French cuisine. It was not a celebration of the French impact on global culture. It was not a celebration of uniquely Parisian worldview. It was to create a salacious moment where we could see a heretical, sacrilegious display of a sacred religious act that for Christians signifies the beginning of Christ's journey to die for all of us, for humanity, to sacrifice himself for humanity so that all of us people can be free and forgiven. That's what you decided to make fun of. You didn't decide to have Muhammad's face or Allah, or you didn't have anybody that the Jewish people specifically hold in high regard. You didn't have anybody that the Hindus or the Buddhists hold in high regard, but you had to, make a mockery of Jesus and Christianity. That's what you decided to do. And we're supposed to be okay with that. Undermining family values, decency, respectability, respectfulness. That's not okay. That ain't right. I won't accept it. I'm not going to allow my children to believe that it's right. I don't accept it in my house, and so I don't deal with it. It's propaganda in the worst ways, and I can't allow it.
Whew, great words, man. You guys just set the room on fire. Nothing else I can say about that. Once again, you guys are watching Uncomfy Truths. We're going to be wrapping up about the next 10 minutes or so. Putting it in Uncomfy Truths from and I see. All right, our next barn burner, if you will. It's my SNL, Alice Trebek. Shout out to Will Ferrell. We have the Wall Street article. I don't know if Wall Street might have a paywall, but yeah, definitely Nord Stream pipeline. Guess we got some new updates. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Nord Stream. We all know U.S. had a hand in blowing it up. Biden denies it. I think the guy Seymour, I forgot his name, kind of came out with an expose about it. But yeah, Conspiracy Brother, go ahead and give us your take on this article or what this article was about. That is a paywall, but you can go ahead and give us a little perspective on it. Yeah, the Nord Stream update.
Yeah, so essentially the mainstream, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So essentially the mainstream media has come out and finally admitted that the Russians did not, in fact, blow up their own pipeline. Right. Seymour Hersh first. Now, this is paywall, but I can send you a non-paywall link. But Seymour Hersh published an article saying that the U.S. and NATO blew up the pipelines in order to what they hoped would be to sabotage Russia because they would They wouldn't be able to generate revenue from the pipeline anymore. The real true story is now, at least from the Wall Street Journal, is that on a drunken evening on a rented yacht, a diver, some deep sea diver, funded by an oligarch from Ukraine, with at first the blessing of Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and Zaluzhny, the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian military, went and blew up the Nord Stream pipelines. Right.
Well,
they're
if
very
that ain't
deep.
A lie, that don't even make no sense.
Right. It's not just a lie. It's a bold-faced lie.
Wow.
Because those pipelines,
that's what we call a black-ass lie.
Right.
Black-ass lie.
Because those pipelines are so far down, you're not just going to drunkenly go down, implant some explosives, and all this. Even if you are an experienced diver, you're not doing this drunk by yourself, whatever. But the bigger issue is Germany's economy has been destroyed as a result. I posted another article from you just had it up about AP. From AP. Germany's economy has been destroyed as a result of this pipeline being exploded. Germany's still willing to help Ukraine. They're still willing to give them resources and military weapons and finances and whatever. So when they tried to claim it was Russia, they tried to say this was an act of war and whatever, even though most of us knew the truth. But now that the Wall Street Journal has reported that it was the Ukraine or Ukrainian linked operatives, there's no outcry, there's no outrage. So this is all,
manipulation, like you said.
Right. It's manipulation and propaganda, like we talked earlier. These people are not interested in the truth. They're interested in pushing a narrative. Do not be a part of that. When we seek truth, when we seek right, when we seek justice, we throw narratives out the window. Now, can you seek truth and justice and then find ways to better explain what you find? Yes. And that's not equivocation. That's not an excuse. But in this situation, you have to look at the facts as they stand and think about what makes sense. I don't care how good of a diver you are. You need a team of people to do this. It ain't like the Nord Stream pipeline was just sitting 10 feet below sea level. Exactly. Or 15 feet below sea level. This was made in such a way that it wouldn't be affected by ships, that it wouldn't be affected by earthquakes or other natural disasters, or that it wouldn't be affected by bombs and such, because it's gas in there. So that's still, as of now, that is the largest methane leak that I'm aware of on Earth. There's the largest natural disaster on Earth because of the amount of methane gas that was pouring out of that pipeline into the atmosphere. Right? It wasn't as bad as like a radiological event. So, it may be a little harder to quantify for most people. But this was a huge methane gas leak, just free flowing into the atmosphere for a group of people who care so much about the environment. They want you to get rid of CO2. They want you to get rid of CO2, which plants need. They find having methane gas just pouring into the atmosphere.
Oh, that's a great point. The whole Greta Thunbergs and the whole World Economic Forum and the Davos folks, they got no smoke for this. They got no smoke for Nord Stream. Who's responsible? How could this happen? They had no smoke for the train derailment in East Palestine. They had no smoke for whatever doesn't convenient or prop up their narrative, like you said. They have no. It's crickets.
They don't see it.
Not that they don't see it. They don't care
because it's not part of their agenda.
Russia.
I mean, Germany has gone from being a world leader in manufacturing and business and pushing for clean energy, whether and I put clean in quotations. I don't know how sustainable it is. They have gone back. If you look at that article, we don't have to read it, but they have gone back to burning coal. They didn't even want to use nuclear power because they said it was too dangerous. And they have had to resort to burning coal again. That's how far back Germany has gone.
Wow.
Because they have lost access.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I have a conservative brother share you that article. They have had to resort to burning coal to fuel their plants.
Wow.
Because they are so far back, deindustrialized through this process.
I had no idea. Wow.
Right. Because even these countries, as much as we say, Europe, because we talked to Europe is willing to turn up and they're willing to fight back. All these people in Europe know. In Germany, they know that the government was behind the pipelines being destroyed. They know they're behind their deindustrialization, the inflation, the jobs, the migrants, right? The migrant crisis is a direct result of Western imperialism. You bomb Syria, you bomb Libya, you bomb Iraq, you bomb Afghanistan, you destroy Yemen, and the people have to leave.
Right,
you destroy Africa. Those people have to leave.
It's also something called the Global Compact of Migration by the World Economic Forum and United Nations. They, in the United States and the European countries, signed up to be a part of this Global Compact of Migration. You can look it up. I did a video on it. I read it. And in this, when the migrants come, you have in the tenants, housing, education, training. Everything that they're getting is what is proposed in the Global Compact of Migration. And that's the tenants they signed up. We don't control our borders, the United Nations does. Mm-hmm. Europeans do not control, the UN does. So I just look up the Global Compact of Migration. It's all in there. I read it on my channel. I read the whole thing. And that's what we signed up for. And you need to remove yourself from that Global Compact, which, we part of the United Nations, but that's what it is. And that's the truth behind migration. We don't control, the UN does, and the NGOs, the non-governmental agencies, organizations. Yep, that's what they did.
Coming in hot. I just had to sit back and let you guys cook. But continue.
And see, the globalists, when I tell you it's not, when I say the migrants are coming, I'm not giving an excuse necessarily, but I'm just saying, yes, all these different global entities, these globalist organizations like you named, are set up. Even the IMF, and I forget the other one, but they're set up to create the situation. And why is that? You think about it.
They gotta bring in the new world order. It's to destroy all of these countries. Have to be destroyed, and that's what it's doing.
Right. But what I was saying it more so rhetorically. But when you look at it, right here, oh no, it's cool. It's cool. We're still having a conversation. But when you look at like here, right, you outsource all the jobs in Detroit, the manufacturing jobs, right? You move to Mexico, you move to China, wherever, right? Eventually, what happens? You still have jobs in this country that you cannot outsource. There are certain things that you got to pay American workers to do, and American workers require a certain level of living. So what do? You allow 15 million or, millions, tens of millions of migrant workers from South America, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from Asia to come into the country.
Who don't
and
speak
do the
English,
work.
Who don't speak English.
Right. Who don't speak English, who may be criminals, right? Rapists, whatever, drug dealers. And you allow them to come here and you give them housing and you give them education and you give them health care. And you give them the jobs that Americans would do and are doing, but for a different price than they will do, right? Because I went to San Francisco. I visited. This had to be almost 8 years ago, maybe almost 7 years ago.
Man, I love San Francisco. Newsom has destroyed all of California. Just think that's coming to a state near you.
Yeah. That movie's coming to you.
But this guy, he lived in San Jose. He was an Uber driver. I was, when I meet people, I try to talk to people just to kind of get to know them and how they feel about the world they live in and their personal experience. And so I was talking to him about, San Francisco and the Bay Area and how it's changing. He said he's from San Jose. He can't afford to live there anymore. He says there's a lot of Indians out here now. We have so many Indians, like they've got Indian news station, Indian radio stations, and all this. So I did a little bit of research, and what they were saying is like an Indian may, he may do a job where he's in the tech industry or something, and let's say he's only making $250,000 to $300,000 a year, which is a substantial amount of money. But for San Francisco or San Jose, that's not a lot of money at all. And so they'll still have to live in, 1-bedroom apartments or studio apartments with their family. But why will they do it? Well, they'll do it because back home, they were living in the same cramped conditions, but it might have been 10 of them.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Guess what? Here, a Venezuelan, they moved in off Sturtevant and Dexter, between Dexter and Linwood. It's about 100 of them in one house right now. And they walk to the store 2x2s, don't speak any right now.
Yeah.
Man.
And because the situation is even in that area where you were like, oh man, that's kind of a rough neighborhood. It ain't rougher than Venezuela.
Yeah.
Exactly. And our gangs ain't got nothing on them. And that's why they took over. Did you see where they took over the housing complex in Denver, in Aurora, Colorado? Yeah. They can't even, they up there with, they done robbed 9 gun stores. They took over, and the police, and see, they don't mind shooting at the police because that's what they do in their country to show that they not listen, we just now beginning to see. This is just the beginning of what they about to do.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's an intent to destabilize, because what you'll ask for as a result of this destabilization is more government control.
Exactly.
You'll ask the government.
And guess what? And what did Jezebel say? She said on day one, she releasing everybody from the detention centers. Really? Really?
She is the open border. She is the open border president.
Right.
She is going to be whatever.
These criminals back onto the street.
Right.
Listen, we in trouble. That's all I got to say.
They manufacture situations just like with the 9/11 and the Patriot Act. You manufacture a situation where citizens are willing to give up their rights and freedoms. Mm-hmm. And like Benjamin Franklin said, those who will trade peace for liberty deserve neither, and will have something. I forget. Let's see if I can find a quote, because I would like to do that quote justice. Those who would trade freedom for safety, or those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety, deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin.
And the craziness, bro, is that once again, it's about creating, like you said, manufacture the crisis so you could provide a solution. And the whole thing with their agenda is that they want to create so much chaos, so much societal upheaval, where people are begging for the government to come in, swoop in, and save them. And I will say on the right, and a thing that even if all of us aren't fully conservative, a trap for the right is that not only if Trump gets back in, which I'm for Trump, I'm voting Trump, but if he enacts certain powers where you have the police state, the military coming in like they are in NYC. With NYC, you got military soldiers guarding New York subways. If we deporting the migrants back, getting them back, we cheer for a certain level of a police state of imperial military to go in and swoop them, and like, hey, let's implement a real ID, like FaceTime ID, to see if you're a citizen or not. If we fall for that trap just to get the migrants out, we can't promise that won't be used against us or usher in the mark of the beast.
It's going to be.
some level of it. So we got to be strategic.
It would be when they declare martial law. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to be strategic about that. We still want the deportation. We still need to get them back, but we need to implement softer, whether it's police or plainclothes officials that are armed. Let's not let it get to a military police state where we give Trump that type of power where that can turn around and be Patriot Act 2.0. So we got to be mindful of that. I'm all about getting the migrants out of here, but we got to make sure we don't end up falling into the bear trap, if you will.
I agree.
And that's exactly it, because they will turn that on you as quick as possible. They will turn it on all of us. And so we either have to figure out a way to do this an analog, old school way, which worked for hundreds of years until suddenly we were incapable of utilizing the technology, or there has to be such a robust safety net in place that the government cannot turn this around on us, and they can't. And even, you know, when you look at what they do with the Five Eyes organization, which is should be the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. But what they do is, because it's illegal for the U.S. government to spy on its citizens, technically, they'll ask the Canadians to do it. Right. They'll ask the Canadians to do it, or the UK to do it, or the Australians to do it, or the New Zealanders to do it. That's how they get around it. Same way the government can't legally censor you. So they just go and talk to Facebook or Twitter back before Elon took control of it and said, hey, we don't want this material being shown. And Facebook said, all right. Or Twitter said, all right. Or YouTube said, all right. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless we go full 1776, it's only going to get worse. I mean, I've said this, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Maybe that's the merch we should sell. We got to go full 1776.
And we really do.
We have to. We are so institutionalized against human nature, natural human nature, right? What makes us unique and not robots and not droids and not, what makes us uniquely alive is our ability to think and act on our feelings in our own way. We cannot be so civilized that we forget how this country was founded. We cannot be so civilized. We cannot be so divorced from the Constitution that the words have no meaning, that the Second Amendment don't mean nothing to you no more, that the right to keep and bear arms is an abstract concept on a piece of paper that was written 250 years ago. That cannot be how we live our lives. We have to understand and remember that this country was founded on ideals and principles. Thomas Jefferson said that the tree of liberty must be watered with the blood of patriots and tyrants. That's not just some cool thing he put on a bumper sticker. He didn't just say that so he could put on a t-shirt one day. We have to remember those ideals, whether or not we feel or know as Black people that the Constitution was meant for us when it was written, or that, these laws and protections was intended with us ever having the opportunity to take advantage of them. We have to live in the now and understand that these words mean something, and they meant something, and they still mean what they meant 250 years ago. It is as relevant to our life today as it ever has been, if not more so, because we are living in a technocracy. What they're doing in China, where they can look at you on cameras, they can extract money from your bank accounts when you have committed crimes and you have to pay fines. That is going to look like child's play compared to what they're going to do to us here. In a free country, with a capitalist government, with a democracy, China is going to look like child's play compared to what we're going to do here. Like I said on this show before, conservative brother, and I don't know if you've heard Nun Dare, but like I said before, the Matrix is going to be a dream compared to the world we live in. You're going to hope for the Matrix. When they get their way, you're going to hope for the Matrix.
You're going to beg we had the Matrix back.
Right. You're going to beg that you could live in a delusion because you're going to live in Zion. You're going to live in Zion and still have hell.
Yeah.
You're not going to live in Zion fighting for freedom, being able to hide away from the machines. You're going to live in Zion, and it's going to be hell. It's going to be 100% total surveillance.
Yes, it is, and that's what the new world order is.
It's going to be an all-you-can-eat hell on earth.
Yeah,
all you can eat.
Hell on earth.
Yeah.
Like the pictures I shared earlier. They locking up Spam. They locking up bags of chips. My wife just said to me today, we was driving, I had to run some errands, so the show was a little late. She said, do you notice more people seem like they're on drugs now? I said, yeah, the economy's doing bad.
Right, because they got to cope. You got to cope somehow. You're going to have more alcoholics, more drugs, more everything. It's a coping mechanism.
Janet Yellen can tell you the economy is great. She can tell you inflation is transitory all she wants to. But when you go outside and you live your life, you go to the grocery store and you buy 5, 10, 15 items and it's $200.
Right.
I'm rounding up only a little bit. I'm only rounding up a little bit. And it's $200. You tell me the economy is doing good and inflation is transitory. It is transitory. It's transitioning from the government to you. That's where it's transitioning from. It's transitioning your money out of your bank account, your money out of your pockets, your money out of your wallet. That's what it's transitory in. It's transitioning that. That's what we have to understand. Without going 1776, we're going to continue to be captive by these people.
Man. Before we get to this last...
That's all I got.
Oh, bro. Treat you to the choir. Great stuff, conspiracy, brother. And definitely, Nun Dare Call It Conspiracy. We need to definitely talk. Maybe get you back on. Maybe we can try and slide it into maybe our Kamala Harris show about illegal migrants arriving in Detroit. And they've been here. I talked about the Michigan.
Oh, yeah, they've been here. But, Whitmore keeping it hush-hush because remember she came out with the refugee program, to house a refugee.
Yeah, with the MDEC, the Michigan Development Economic Corporation. They were doing articles about, hey, become a Michigan host. Right.
I was like, listen, I never liked Whitmer anyway. I never liked her. And so but the thing is now I have to give her just a little credit, even though I don't like her, is that before they get any assistance, because my cousin, she worked at DHS, and she said they have to have, these people that I'm talking about that moved in on Sturtevant, they just got their work permit. So they have to have all their documentation before they get any assistance from the state.
Right. I mean, they still could have came across the border during Biden.
No, they did come across the border. No, they did. They illegals.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But they at least went through some sort of
right. But what I'm saying is it's not like going to New York and Chicago and you getting a credit card with $5,000 in food stamps without here they have to be documented. And they have to have their papers, they work permit, Social Security. So I will give, and that's because my cousin told me that, who work at DHS, and said they have to have their paperwork.
Okay, I give them credit. Keep an eye on it. Give them credit, but we're still gonna keep an eye on it.
That's the beauty of living in a city like Detroit. Yeah. There's only so much they can get away with because the people will turn up. Because hey, we can't afford to live here, and you want to give somebody some free stuff. Now, it's bad enough.
Right. But you know what? You would think that they would be turning up in Chicago. All the GDs, the BDs, the Vice Lords. Oh, yeah. You would think they ain't did nothing. So,
hey, they may be paying, they may be paying the gangs off.
You would think that they would be turning up in New York.
Yeah.
They ain't did nothing. This is what I'm saying. I don't get it.
They may be paying the gangs off. We throwing them a little something under the table, like, hey, you know, we'll pay y'all a little extra. We won't be as hot on the streets for you guys, and y'all let these migrants do their thing. We'll back off of y'all.
Because they only putting them in the black community, the black and brown community. That's it. They not putting them with the white folks.
Nope.
Now here we go again.
All right. We cooking, y'all. We cooking. Once again, Uncomfy Truths. We do live streams twice a month on Sundays and pretty soon Saturdays. We're going back to Saturdays and Sunday streams. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble and Odyssey. Please subscribe. Myself, Conservative Brother Daily, Conspiracy Brother, Conspiracy Brother, as well as Nun Dare Call It Conspiracy dropping in. Appreciate the love. So I definitely got to do my plug, y'all. We almost out this thing. We only got one more topic after this. But Conspiracy Brother, Germany went from envy of the world to the worst performing major developed economy. What happened? Break this down from AP, little center left outlet. Trying to
mute the dog.
Yeah.
But again, like we were talking about, as a result of the war with Russia and Ukraine and the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, Germany's economy has had to go back to basically the 50s. Their industrialized areas have had to essentially go back to the 50s, right? Because the energy that they were consuming from Russia was cheap. They got 55% of their energy from Russia, and it was cheap. And I think the U.S. is providing gas to Europe, but it's substantially higher, and it doesn't come as easily because they have to ship it, right? So this is an article from about a year ago, though. So this is not even the most recent data. But in that short period of time, because I believe the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up in the summer of 22, or it might have been the summer of 23. But in that short period of time, you know, because all the sanctions that Germany was putting on Russia hurt Germany too, right? The West, the EU was putting sanctions on Russia, and that hurt Germany's ability to interact with them. And so you see the quality of life in Germany has decreased, right? They're in a 10 billion euro electrical line bringing wind power from the breezier north to industry in the south has faced costly delays from political resistance to unsightly above ground towers. Burying the lines means completion in 2028 instead of 2022. So that's 6 years later. Clean, you see what I'm saying? They're trying to do all this clean energy stuff. They don't have the infrastructure set up yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, they've destroyed their own economies in their own countries in the name of globalism, you know, for the global elites. And this is what they want. Bill Gates ain't living like this, you know, because like we talked in the last show a little bit about the carbon offsets. The rich and the wealthy, the corporations will be able to buy carbon offsets. So they'll still be able to use private jets and gas-powered vehicles and all this other stuff. And they'll be able to pay money to offset the carbon that they're using, these fines. The average American, the average world global citizen won't be able to afford that. So we'll have to be at the mercy of, you know, rolling brownouts and blackouts and clean energy, windmills, batteries, solar power, things that are still not efficient. Whether or not the infrastructure exists and to what degree, they're still not efficient. So this is all a conspiracy to destroy you, to put you in the matrix again. I'm telling you, the electric car thing, I think the highest range of a commercially available electric car is 250 miles per charge.
And then with the cars, it's 100 miles. I would never buy an electric vehicle. And guess what? We don't even produce enough electricity for all these cars.
Right.
Especially if you live in Detroit or Chicago. You remember that thing about the Teslas freezing during that Chicago winter?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The batteries wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And then the battery cost like $27,000. Listen, y'all.
Well, yeah, because it's not a single battery. It's a circuit. It's like 10 batteries. And if one battery goes bad, you have to replace the whole circuit. You can't just replace one battery.
I didn't know that.
And that's the problem. Yeah. And like even this. So all this hurricanes and stuff going on right now. Let's say you live in South Florida and I got me a Tesla and I'm driving to get away.
I'm only going to be able to go between 120 to 50 miles on one charge.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We've talked about Teslas being a scam before, because what happens with Teslas, because they're all computerized, when you purchase things with your Tesla, like let's say, like I said, conservative brother, let's say I own a Tesla and I have it fully loaded, I have everything, the assistive cruise control, what do you call that? The assisted driving mode, where it's autopilot, heated seats, whatever, the whole shebang, whatever the features are. If I sell my Tesla to conservative brother, he has got to pay to unlock all those features. It doesn't come to him fully unlocked because I paid for it to be fully unlocked when I bought it. He has to pay to have all those features unlocked again for him. It's a grift. It's a scam.
Wow, you can't make this up.
No. We live in, I think I talked about it before, but we're progressively moving it to a society where you cannot own anything. Your software, we talked earlier about the creative cloud and stuff.
That's called Agenda 2030. You don't own nothing and be happy.
And be happy.
Right. That's the plan.
It is. And that's why BlackRock buying up all the house. It's only corporations buying blocks and blocks of housing. And they're going to use eminent domain. It's a map. Agenda 2020. It's a map from the United Nations that shows, and you can Google it, and it's a map, and it shows all the habitable areas that's going to be in the United States. You will not be living by no water. It's going to be like districts like the Hunger Games. Watch what I tell you. You're going to be living in districts.
Oh,
and
it's coming.
You know what?
It's coming.
My uncle who passed away, Uncle Arthur, he gave me a book from Detroit Planning Commission up to 2050. They already segment Detroit out, and the poor little Negroes, they're going to be living in one small area. That area, Mount Elliott, is going to be industrial, and they already planted every city in the United States.
15-minute smart cities. It's coming.
Right,
and it's coming heavily.
They have what you call a sustainable energy plan. They have a sustainable plan, and then they have list. Every city has this. It's mandated. And they would, if you pull it up, you will see how they're about to do whatever city that you're in, how they're going to divide it up. It's already planned. And yes, downtown Detroit will be the 15-minute city. Yep, that's why I had to leave down there, because guess what? You're going to be trapped if you live down there. You're going to be trapped.
We're all in our we're in our own little world that the elites are crafting for us, and we have no idea. I'm not talking about us. Obviously, we're awake, but the elites are just crafting their own little world for us to be in. This will be a smart world. You will own nothing. You'll be happy. 15 minutes to go anywhere. And if you want to go that day trip, across the country, you can cut that car off because you didn't get permission.
Right, and then you can link up to Neuralink, and you can like Total Recall and be on vacation, sitting in the chair.
You are short of your imperial credits, so you can't go there today.
Or just like that Ready Player One movie, where you had guys where people were just living in such poverty, but they could go play video games, enter into virtual reality. You could get away from.
Escape. Exactly.
Predictive programming strikes again. So all right, y'all, we're about at the end of this Uncomfy Truths, another banger. We are one episode away from episode 30, going on over 2 years strong. 2 years strong. Follow us on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. So we bring it back. We're closing it out with the recent Venezuela election corruption. Obviously, the guy Maduro there has been kind of ruling for the past year, and it's weird. You got people like oh, this is a tragedy. How could this happen? You know, I'm not fully well versed on Venezuela. I just do know that socialism.
He stole the election.
Yeah,
That's point blank
yeah,
simple. He stole it, and now they over here protesting. They had protests today down in Miami. They protested all you. Now you should have stayed home and protested. That's what you should have did instead of walking through a jungle. That's what you should have did. And I think he done arrested like 2,400 people and threw them in prison. So, you know, and he's not showing the election results. He lost. He know he lost. Them people over there in dear poverty.
Now, is Venezuela didn't Maduro, I assume, maybe work with the U.S. government 10, 20 years ago to kind of destabilize the country?
No. Before him, your government killed Chavez, who was the leader, and I like Chavez. And Venezuela was selling their oil. Venezuela is a beautiful country, and they were very profitable.
Right.
They were doing well until they took Chavez out.
Yeah.
I mean, which, you know, even when you look at the Maduro situation, let's say he stole the election in his country. As an American, we just talked about how they cooled our president, right? And so we have to understand that our government and the deep state are involved in some way, either in pushing a narrative or creating a narrative.
That's true.
And so, you know, like you said, Venezuelans got to stay home. If they got issues, stay home and fight your issues, right? Channel y'all 1776. Channel y'all Simon Bolivar, and have y'all Bolivarian Republic, like Simon Bolivar when he rebelled against the Spanish and had all those different Colombia and Venezuela and Bolivia fighting for independence from Spain. Channel your inner 18, I believe it was 1830s or 1840s. Channel y'all's. Don't come to America to have our sons and daughters and our brothers and sisters fighting and dying to create instability around the globe and new enemies for us here at home. You go down there and fight for your own people. If y'all so upset with the guy, go out and take him out. Y'all so tough and vicious and violent, go and handle it. Don't bring that here. Right? If the U.S. government is the one doing it, we have a responsibility to try to intervene. But then y'all come here and turn up on them too. Don't bring us into it. Leave the people alone. We're trying to figure out how we're going to deal with our government ourselves. You see what I'm saying? The people who running us have cooled the president. They put up a lady who don't have a policy at all. 3 months out to election. She don't have no policy up at all. Less than 3 months technically. No policy to speak of.
But conspiracy brother, she's a woman. This is progress. This would be the first woman and a person of color. Don't worry about all that. You just got to stop Trump. She's a woman.
2 or 3 weeks, in 2 or 3 weeks of campaigning, she have done half of one press conference. Her website don't have a policy on it to save your life, but it got a donate button, and I showed you the shop, so you could buy your cult of personality starter kit.
Facts.
You can't make this up. You can't. You cannot.
If I describe the political situation in America to you and left out all the names, you would say, wow, that's the most authoritarian country I've ever heard of. I cannot believe it. We need to go and get them some freedom and democracy. And then I would say, oh, that's here. And then what? And then you just turn around and go back to doing whatever you're doing to distract yourself from the reality that you live in a hellscape and that you got to go full 1776.
That this is the end of America.
I'm about to grab my musket.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You got to grab your musket and your powder bag.
Yeah, filling it up right now.
Where's your tricorn hat and breeches?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? People need to really wake up.
I
don't know how to put it no other way.
No, I think we can just leave it right there and let that breathe. I think we said all we need to say. Great show, y'all. Once again, Conspiracy Brother, great stuff as always. None Dare Call It a Conspiracy. Great to have you back for the second time. Hope to have you back more often. We'll be back in about 2-3 weeks, either on Saturday, Sunday. Continuing to do what we do.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great.
I learned a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Glad to be able to share with y'all and always, had these conversations. Definitely had to have you back.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the comeback.
Yep. So Uncomfy Truths. We will be back in about 2 to 3 weeks, and just tighten up your seatbelt, hold on to the guardrail, because ain't no telling what hell we about to go through between now and then. But we will be here, continue to share the uncomfortable, call out the lies, and just do what we do in this, what I like to call a, I used to have the saying I used to say on my channel show, we're continuing to spread common sense in a nonsense world. Continue spreading some common sense in a nonsense world. And that's all I got, y'all. Great show. And we will see you guys on Comfy Truths next time.
All right. See y'all later. Have a great week.
All right.
Peace.
Okay. See ya.
Peace to all of y'all.
Oh, shoot. How do I...